What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 2 deciseconds. 31 Marine Admiral dispatched seeking flowers. Immediately afterwards, the familiar mechanical sound rang in his ears. Ding. Detect the reaction of devil fruit in front. Close black lens bracket. Ding. If the host needs to exchange it for a summoning point, just hold the devil fruit in the palm of your hand, and then silently say the exchange. Close black lens bracket. Hearing the mechanical sound, Dean Riding raised his eyebrows slightly, and forced a smile on his face. Becoming an enemy of the world government in exchange for summoning a member seems to be, not too bad, it's better than. I didn't get any money, and then I caused a lot of trouble. Muttering, Dean Riding didn't hesitate too much, and quickly picked up the devil fruit from the box. Its shape is similar to a watermelon, with a dark blue skin and various textures on the skin. As for what devil fruit is, although Dean Riding said that he is a time traveler, he has never read the devil fruit illustrated book, so he does not know what devil fruit it is. Perhaps, for him, it would be better not to know. If it is a practical devil fruit, he will still hesitate to exchange it for summon points. Exchange. Dean Riding grunted, as soon as his voice fell. Soon, in his ears, the mechanical sound of the system sounded again. Ding. Congratulations to the successful exchange of host, and obtained 1000 summoning points. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Ding. Congratulations to host for redeeming for the first time and getting a small gift package X1. Close black lens bracket. A small gift bag. It's still the human nature of the system. Dean Riding secretly delighted, it seems that this trip made a small fortune. After calming down, Dean Riding opened his property panel. Host. Dean Riding. Self-ability. Physical skills assessment. General. Summoning points. 1068 1000 acquired. Complete the task, or drop from things immediately, or use devil fruit to exchange. Summoned characters. Ace Kano 10% running in degree, 2 Sean Yaya 5% running in degree. Inheritance. Son. Advanced edition. Whenever the running in progress of the summoned character increases, the host will have a chance to inherit part of the character's abilities. Warehouse. Small gift bag X1. Quest. Summoning quest 2/5 not completed. Advertisement. He took a cursory glance at his property panel. Although time had passed not long ago, Dean Riding's property panel had undergone quite a few changes. Physical skill evaluation has also changed from poor to average now. The son inherited from Ace Kano, also because of the advancement card, the advancement has become a stronger ability. But now, the summon points are enough to summon one more, and there is still a small gift bag in the warehouse that has not been opened. Thinking of this, Dean Riding felt happy inside. However, he does not intend to summon here, nor does he intend to open the small gift bag in the warehouse here. Retracting the attribute panel in front of him, Dean Riding continued to search for it. And at the same time, the holy land of Mariajoy. Damn, what is going on? In the back garden of a certain castle, Marine Marshal Clay was furious. For no other reason than Dean Riding attacking the celestial dragons. Who the hell is it, that blind guy who dares to move celestial dragons? Clay asked angrily, looking at the world government personnel who reported the intelligence. Originally, he was too busy with the Locks pirates, but now such an incident happened again, which directly ignited the bomb in Clay's heart. According to the information we have obtained, the celestial dragons who attacked the Valley of the Gods and returned are not pirates. Not a pirate. Clay paused slightly. What the world government staff said was a bit unexpected. Who is that? I don't know. The information we have obtained is limited. It is said, their flag is 2 wings, 1 black and 1 white, with a long knife stuck in the middle. World government personnel added. 2 wings, 1 black and 1 white, with a long knife stuck in the middle. What kind of power is this? Or is it just a different style of pirate flag? Clay's eyes flashed slightly, but he was a little confused through. Whether it's pirates, or some other force, it doesn't matter. Marshal Clay, what you Marines have to do now, is to go to the scene of the incident immediately and protect the rights and interests of celestial dragons. The government staff explained. Although Clay felt uncomfortable with his tone, the procedure was indeed right. He nodded and said calmly, okay, I see, I will deal with it. Then, I will thank you, Marshal Clay, I will not bother you too much. It will be smooth sailing to your marine, and all those who defy the celestial dragons will be arrested. The staff of the world government bowed to Clay, then retreat slowly. 32 You call this a small gift bag, seeking flowers. Looking at the world government personnel who were drifting away, the expression on Clay's face became richer. He came under a big tree, his eyes moved up slightly, and he muttered. 2 wings, 1 white and 1 black. There is a long knife stuck in the middle. I have never heard of pirates or other forces flags with this pattern before. Could it be a new star? If it's really a rising star, then it's too crazy, isn't it ignorant? How dare you call celestial dragons attention, or is it that he doesn't even care about the world government? This sudden intelligence obviously had a lot of influence on Clay. If the information is really as he guessed later, for some reason, the image of the Locks pirates flashed in his heart. Suddenly, he chuckled. Locks? Is it Locks again? You damn B asterisk 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 D, you make me think that everything has something to do with you. If I don't get rid of you for a day, I'm afraid, I won't be able to think normally. I'm serious too, I'm the majestic naval headquarters admiral. How could those guys pose a serious threat to us like the Locks pirates? With a self-deprecating laugh, he strode out of the back garden to deal with the celestial dragon's matter. Still, worth mentioning, he might never have imagined in his dreams that this emerging power is now. One day in the future, the threat to the world government is far greater than that of the Locks pirates. After a while. Dean Riding over there. People from Marine and world government were all beheaded as long as they were seen by Dean Riding and the others. There are countless gold and silver treasures on the luxury ship. All were loaded onto their own boat by Dean Riding. Soon, after scooping up the celestial dragons, Dean Riding and the others didn't stay too long. Returned to his boat. Hey, Dean Riding, isn't that fellow celestial dragons going to kill? Ace Kano stood beside Dean Riding and asked suspiciously. Of course, if Dean Riding would say, it's not necessary, Ace Kano would kill him without hesitation. After all, if it wasn't for Dean Riding's instructions, he would have chopped up that celestial dragons to pieces. Hearing Ace Kano's words, Dean Riding smiled slightly, and then said softly, if you don't kill this kind of guy, why don't you save it to make yourself sick next time? Ace Kano was a little stunned, retracted his thoughts, then stretched his waist, and said, okay, then you can handle it yourself, we brought a lot of fine wine from his boat, I'll go taste it first. Quote. Dean Riding nodded, then slowly raised his hand. A purple fireball was condensing at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the next second, without much hesitation, he threw the fireball directly at the luxury ship. Accompanied by the fall of the fireball, it immediately caused a huge explosion. Boom, sounded. Shock waves spread in all directions. The wreckage flew around with the air current. Then, billows of black smoke rose into the sky. However, at this moment, the sound of celestial dragons also stopped abruptly after the explosion. The world seemed to be quiet all of a sudden. Because the luxury ship in the middle exploded, the marine warships on its left and right sides were also damaged, and now they are sinking at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, Dean Riding didn't intend to let it go. After condensing 2 fireballs again, he threw them out. Advertisement. Marine's warship also fell after 2 explosions, leaving behind billows of black smoke. After a long time, Dean Riding's ship has left here. Thick black smoke was still rising from the wreckage. And under a wreck, lay a man in a black suit. His lips were pale, and his clothes were badly damaged. The surrounding sea water has been stained red by his blood. Obviously, he was seriously injured. Dean Riding over there. The 3 of them were at the table, drinking fine wine. The nobles of the world are the nobles of the world, even the wine is exclusive. Dean Riding blushed slightly, looked at the bottle in his hand, and sighed with emotion. I don't like this taste very much. Compared with the wine in my jug, I feel it's a lot worse. Tushan Yaya raised her endless jug and poured it into her mouth, but she was not at all interested in the fine wine from celestial dragons on the table. As for Ace Kano, he didn't speak, but lay on the sofa, drinking quietly. Dean Riding didn't take it seriously. Holding a jug of wine, he stood up slowly. It's too sweltering, keep drinking, I'll go out and enjoy the sea breeze. Said it was blowing the sea breeze, but in fact, Dean Riding's inner thought was to see what he could get from the system. The sea was still as calm as usual. The sky was cloudless. The scorching sun bakes the sea surface. For ordinary people, they are unwilling to stay outside for a second. But, for Dean Riding, it may be because of inheriting Ace Kano, son. Other than being a bit harsh, nothing else. Sitting on the deck of the boat, Dean Riding spoke calmly while drinking. Open the small gift bag. Ding. Command received. As opening. Close black lens bracket. Ding. Successful activation. It is detected that the host has organized its own forces, and the system will give priority to obtaining practical rewards for the host. Please choose. Close black lens bracket. Option 1. The host will get an artificial island, which will become the base camp of the host, equipped with offensive and defensive weapons. Close black lens bracket. Option 2. Host will get a battleship produced by the system, equipped with integrated offensive and defensive weapons. Close black lens bracket. Option 3. If you don't choose practical weapons, the system will randomly draw weapons or abilities from the myriad worlds. Close black lens bracket. To be honest, Dean Riding was quite surprised by what was offered in this small gift package. You call this a small gift bag? This is a damn good package. 33 Dean Riding's first bounty, seeking flowers. Value. That's what Dean Riding really thinks at the moment. Speaking of which, he has to thank Celestial Dragons for his assist. If it wasn't for his relentless pursuit, all these rewards for this trip would be in vain. You are such a good person. I didn't even want this reward at first, but you insisted on pulling me back and telling me that I wouldn't let me go unless I got the reward. Oh, there aren't many good people like you in this world. Dean Riding sighed with emotion, and continued to focus on the virtual panel. He fumbled for his chin and began to analyze. Option 1. You will get an artificial island, which will become your base camp. This reward seems very good, but it has advantages and disadvantages. Someone like Dean Riding who needs to drop summon points from people or things will get very little if he stays on the island all the time. Obviously, it's not worth it for his current situation. Choice 2. You will get a battleship produced by the system. This reward is very helpful to Dean Riding at this stage. It is a battleship produced by the system. In terms of function, it must be far better than all the battleships in this world. As for the last option, don't choose practical weapons, and randomly draw weapons or abilities from the 10,000 realms. Although this reward is also very good, it is similar to option 1. It has advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is that you can get weapons or abilities, and the disadvantage is that Dean Riding has already with the ability. This situation is not very lacking now. So, the answer is also obvious. Choose 2. After weighing the pros and cons, Dean Riding answered. Ding. Is the host sure of his choice? Close black lens bracket. Sure. Ding. The choice is successful. Congratulations to host for getting the battleship produced by the system. Close black lens bracket. As soon as the system's voice fell, the sky above. Suddenly a huge black hole appeared. Around the black hole, thunder and lightning flickered. In the next second, a huge warship descended from the sky. Crack. The battleship fell into the sea. Immediately there was a huge wave. The surface of the sea seemed to be rolling, and huge ripples spread in all directions. Dean Riding lowered his arm blocking the water, and his eyes fell on the battleship. This is a huge battleship. The flag made by the system is flying, one white and one black presented by the system, with the pattern of a long knife inserted in the middle. However, although there are flags, there are no sails. On the left and right sides, there are many muzzles. Although it is a battleship, it is very different from the battleships in this world in many aspects. To Dean Riding, what shocked him the most was the markings on the bow and the top of the boat. On the top of the boat is a combined body of an angel and a demon. The demon on the left is wearing a black robe, with a grinning face, red eyes shining, and a horn growing on his forehead. Behind him are bat-like wings. Advertisement. As for the right side, it forms a clear example with the left side. The demon on the left side is a male, while the right side is a female. There is only a half halo of light floating above her head. There is no light in the eyes, she is wearing a white gauze, and behind her is a white wing. And their hands are all in front, holding the long knife standing upright. This combination of angel and demon is a perfect link to Dean Riding's banner. As for the one in front of the ship, it is a combination of a small angel and a demon. Just as Dean Riding was stunned, suddenly, a prompt popped up in the system. Ding. Please host to give the battleship a famous name, the time limit is 30 days, more than random by the system. Wonderful. Dean Riding sighed. At the same time, due to the shock caused by the appearance of the battleship ahead, Tushan Yaya and Ace Kano in the ship also came out. What's going on? Tushan Yaya came to Dean Riding's side, and asked with her beautiful eyes looking directly at the battleship ahead. As this, the pursuit of the celestial dragons. Ace Kano also made a sound. Dean Riding smiled and shook his head, suppressing the joy in his heart and saying, this is, a battleship belonging to our dimension retrograde. Our battleship. It was said that Tushan Yaya and Ace Kano looked at Dean Riding at the same time. Dean Riding nodded lightly, and then said, okay, it seems that everyone is going to get busy again, and move all the things over. After working hard for a long time, all the supplies from the old ship were successfully transferred to the new ship. It was already dark at this time, and Dean Riding was not in a hurry to summon new characters. He intends to have a good night's rest, and will welcome his new partner tomorrow. Time passed quickly, and in a blink of an eye, it was already the second day. Dean Riding, Tushan Yaya, and Ace Kano are all still asleep. However, at this time, New World, a certain island. On a huge ship that docked, Golden Lion knocked on Whitebeard's door, clutching a stack of wanted warrants he had just received from Newsbird. Edward, are you guys awake? Whitebeard is sitting in the bedroom drinking wine at the moment, while reading old newspapers, although he heard the knock on the door, but when he heard the voice of the Golden Lion, he pretended not to hear it, and continued read the newspaper. As for Golden Lion, he naturally heard the movement in the room and knew that Whitebeard had woken up, but he didn't pay attention to himself. He wasn't angry at all, he just grinned. Gia ha 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 ha. You be asterisk 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 D really don't plan to respond to me. I came with a message that you are interested in. 34 Golden Lion. Edward, let's make a bet, ask for flowers. The Golden Lion's words clearly touched Whitebeard's heart slightly. But, on second thought, since the establishment of the Lox Pirates, he and Golden Lion have no common language, and the Lox Pirates from the beginning to the present, plundering, slaughtering, fighting, etc., have never appeared to interest me things. Thinking of this, Whitebeard sighed softly and turned his attention back to the newspaper. You be asterisk 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 D, you're really not likable. Jaya ha ha ha. Golden Lion stood outside, laughing out loud again, and after a few seconds, he stopped, with a serious expression on his face. I remember you have a good relationship with the bartender in Hachinosu, don't you? What? Since we haven't seen each other for so long, the relationship has gradually become estranged. Following the Golden Lion's words, as he expected, there was some movement inside, and within a short while, Whitebeard opened the door. Shiki you be asterisk 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 D, if you want to make my relationship with you the worst, you can just touch him. Upon meeting, Whitebeard didn't take kindly to Golden Lion. Of course, Golden Lion didn't care. He pretended to be aggrieved and said, "Tisk tisk, Edward, you are really unpleasant. I see you are friends with that bartender. Today's newspaper his news appeared on the internet, so I came here to share it with you." "What nonsense are you talking about?" Whitebeard stared at the Golden Lion with those sharp eyes, feeling a little uneasy in his heart at this moment. Yes, in Whitebeard's eyes, Dean Riding is not a pirate, nor is he an enemy of the world government. Under normal circumstances, it is impossible for Dean Riding to appear in the newspapers. Gia ha 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 ha. Golden Lion laughed wickedly. He didn't answer Whitebeard's words, but handed over the wanted warrant in his hand, and finally ordered. "See for yourself." Looking at the wanted warrant in front of him, Whitebeard hesitated for a few seconds, finally accepted it, and then opened it with a heavy heart. Soon, a portrait of a handsome young man with hand-painted long hair and exquisite facial features came into Whitebeard's eyes. Although it was hand-painted, the similarity of the appearance reached 95%, so Whitebeard recognized it at a glance. This is Dean Riding. The arrest warrant for Dean Riding is very incomplete, with only a hand-painted portrait on it, a hand-painted portrait of his flag on the back, and a bounty at the end. A reward of 150 million Baileys. Whitebeard stared at the bounty on the wanted notice and blurted out. This time, the world government seems to be in a hurry. They didn't find out the identity of the bartender at all, so they were in a hurry to arrest him. Golden Lion sneered. Advertisement. This time, Whitebeard nodded in agreement. Then he opened the next wanted warrant. This one is very similar to Dean Riding's. There are also only hand-painted portraits, as well as hand-painted flags on the back, and finally a reward. This guy is also with that bartender. I saw the hand-painted flag on his back, which is exactly the same as the bartender's. Golden Lion continued. Whitebeard continued to nod, and then said flatly, "Well, according to Dean Riding's introduction last time, this is his new buddy." Upon hearing Whitebeard's words, Golden Lion couldn't help grinning sneeringly, and then said plausibly, "The new guy. I don't think so, Edward. My instinct tells me that this guy is not a good guy." "What the hell? I have already been offered a reward of 100 million Baileys for the first time. I have no skills. There will be such a reward. Do you really think that those guys from the world government are free?" Yes, as Golden Lion said, Ace Kano's bounty reached 100 million Baileys for the first time. If he hadn't shown his ability, the world government would not have offered a reward of 100 million Baileys for the first time. Whitebeard was speechless to refute, and at the same time was a little surprised. When he was introduced by Dean Riding that day, he really thought that he was just an ordinary tavern guy. He continued to scroll down. This one, no doubt like the previous one, only had hand-painted portraits. Next to the portraits, there was a hand-painted flag. The only difference was that this hand-painted portrait was of a woman. Yes, she is Tu Shan Yaya. Before Whitebeard could make a sound, the Golden Lion on the side said again, "What? Are you going to tell me that this is also the new recruit of the bartender?" "Do not." Whitebeard put away the wanted warrant in his hand, and then said seriously, "I have never seen this woman, but if I guessed correctly, it should be similar to what Yushiki said." Gia ha 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 ha. Golden Lion suddenly laughed again, and then retorted, "Come on, Edward, don't tease me. This woman's first reward is also 100 million Baileys. You want to tell me that in that bartender's tavern you have to have skills to be a waiter when you work inside?" Whitebeard ignored his topic, but changed the subject and said, "Show me the newspaper, I want to know what happened." Golden Lion didn't continue, handed him the newspaper he was holding, and said, "It didn't say what happened, it just said that he declared war with the world government." Oh, although there was a response, Whitebeard was still reading the newspaper seriously. And Golden Lion was still chattering. "Edward, let's make a bet. I think, giving up Dean Riding, Locks will definitely feel that this will be the most regretful thing he has ever done." Hearing this, Whitebeard looked away from the newspaper, landed on Golden Lion, and said meaningfully, "You are so optimistic about Dean Riding. I don't know about others, but I think you can make it clear, that guy is not a simple tavern owner at all. Although I have never fought against him, my instinct tells me that in the near future, he will be a good opponent." 35 The dragon maid of Kobayashi's house asking for flowers. Whitebeard didn't reply to Golden Lion's words, and just looked at him quietly with those sharp eyes. The corner of Golden Lion's mouth twitched a few times, and then he said angrily, "You should say something. How about it? Do you want to make a bet?" Whitebeard handed the newspaper back to Golden Lion, and said flatly, "I agree with your words." Upon hearing this, Golden Lion had a dull expression on his face. In this case, wouldn't it be impossible to bet? As long as you want to gamble, it's not impossible, you just need to buy that his future will not make much progress in the future. Whitebeard talked eloquently. Go, you be asterisk 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 D, you are really shameless, cheating me openly. Having said that, Golden Lion paused for a few seconds, then changed the subject, and said, "Speaking of which, I'm quite surprised that a guy like you would join the Locks Pirates." "Really? I don't think so." Whitebeard responded indifferently, then turned around, picked up the jug on the table in his own room, and sat on the back of the chair, drinking a small wine, with a hint of disappointment in his eyes. Golden Lion also walked in, sat on a chair near the table, picked up a bottle of wine on the table, opened the cap, and poured it into his mouth. "Edward, you can't hide it at all. You are not interested in world domination, power, money, and so on. If you insist, you are probably the only alternative in the Locks Pirates." Whitebeard laughed out loud on the spot when he heard that. "Gu la la la. UB asterisk 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 D, don't label me privately. Who told you that I'm not interested in that kind of thing? Golden Lion stood up unhurriedly, walked straight out the door with the bottle of wine in his hand. When he reached the door, he stopped and said, "Thank you for the wine and hospitality, and besides, you can't fool me." After leaving these words, he conveniently closed the door for Whitebeard, and then left straight away. Looking at the back of the Golden Lion who had already left, Whitebeard's eyes sank slightly, and then changed his position again, picked up the newspaper in front of him and continued to read. Dot 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 dot. Naval Headquarters. This is Dean writing that guy. Damn it, what I was worried about happened. Yeah, although I have thought about it, but I didn't expect this thing to happen so quickly. It's all the fault of that Garp guy, who indiscriminately went to trouble others. Otherwise, I think our Marines' chances of recruiting will increase a lot. In a certain office, Garp, Sengoku, and Crane were discussing after seeing Dean Writing's wanted reward. Originally, Garp didn't care, it was Sengoku and Suru who were talking to each other. He was sitting on the sofa, enjoying the good tea that Sengoku brought back from above. However, while chatting, Crane suddenly threw the pot on himself, and Garp jumped up immediately. Xiaohei, it's too much for you to say this. I blame me for what I call it. I didn't do anything. Moreover, even if you saw a man watching a show on the battlefield, you would more or less feel the same way. Have some doubts about this person. Advertisement. I don't care. Anyway, I think you are most responsible. Crane glanced at Garp and said unreasonably. Garp was not angry when he heard this, but grinned and complained. Oh, women at this time are really unreasonable. Sengoku sighed softly, and then said softly, okay, the matter is over, there is nothing more to say. Dean Writing, I don't know why, I always have a bad feeling about him. Sengoku, you are really sensitive. If there is a chance, I will arrest him personally. I made a mistake before, but this time I won't make a mistake. Garp said excitedly. Farewell, Garp, have you forgotten what happened to you last time? Don't meet up next time, and let that fellow Dean Writing fix you up. Crane said venomously. The next time we meet, I will become stronger. Garp clenched his fist tightly and said firmly. Others will also become stronger, and, in a sense, they may grow faster. After all, in New World, there are many powerful pirates. Sengoku sat on the chair, casually said. Then I will work twice as hard. If double is not enough, then triple, quadruple. For Sengoku and Crane's dislike, Garp didn't take it seriously. Then I wish you good luck. Don't wait until that time. If one day, you really meet, don't call and shout, Sengoku save me. He. Speaking of the latter, Crane couldn't help it laughed. Go, Xiaohei, can you stop pouring cold water on me? Garp complained. Dot 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 dot. New World, a sea area. On Dean Writing's boat. It may be that there are still characters in my heart who have not summoned too much excitement, which caused Dean Writing to wake up earlier. After getting up and taking a simple wash, Dean Writing came outside on the deck of the ship. Taking a breath of the salty sea breeze, Dean Writing stretched. Although I don't sleep very well, my spirits are surprisingly good. Could it be, is this related to the battleship given by the system? After muttering, Dean Writing said to the system without thinking too much. System, summon, ding. This call needs to consume 1000 call points, whether to call or not. Close black lens bracket. Call, ding. The summoning is successful, and 1000 summoning points will be deducted this time. Close black lens bracket. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully summoning and getting the Thor from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. The Dragon Maid of Kobayashi's family. When he saw the last prompt on the prompt board, a picture emerged in Dean Writing's mind. 36 Let me be your maid, ask for flowers. It was a woman wearing a maid outfit, with long golden hair, a pair of dragon horns on her head, and a dragon tail behind her. Thor. Dean Writing muttered silently, although Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is a Lillian Daily light comedy, but as a member of the dragon family, Thor in it is also very strong. As for the specific strength, although Dean Writing has read the original work, he is not too clear about it. After all, the anime, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, is more about daily life. One thing Dean Writing does know, though, is Thor's character. In terms of personality, although it is better than Gao Leng's getting Tu Shan Yaya and the arrogant Ace Kano, it is just a normal situation. Tu Shan Yaya and Ace Kano are even more crazy. Those who have read the original book party, everyone must have an impression, so I won't introduce too much, because it's hard to say. At this moment, in front of Dean Writing, a light shone. In the next second, a white human-shaped dummy appeared out of nowhere and appeared in front of Dean Writing's eyes. Accompanied by the injection of the previous light, the dummy slowly became alive, and the skin color was becoming normal at a speed visible to the naked eye. Next second, a woman with long blonde hair in a maid outfit met Dean Writing's eyes. Although there are a pair of dragon horns on the head and a dragon tail on the back, it looks even cuter against the backdrop of the maid outfit. When she just appeared, her beautiful eyes first stared at Dean Writing, and then glanced at other places. In the end, a joyful smile appeared on his face, and he jumped up and said, "That's so amazing, I came directly to another world of another dimension." As she spoke, she looked at Dean Writing gently with her orange eyes, and said happily, "Nice meeting, Dean Writing, my name is Thor." Dean Riding never expected Thor to be so enthusiastic. He had thought up a lot of words in front of him, and it seemed that he would not be able to use them. After hesitating for a few seconds, Dean Riding said with a faint smile, "You are welcome, Thor." As Dean Riding really gentle. "Without further ado, let me be your maid job today," Thor said expectantly with a satisfied smile on his face. Regarding Thor's words, Dean Riding was a little confused. He clearly remembered that in Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, it was Kobayashi who said that maids would be better, so Thor became Kobayashi's maid. But Dean Riding didn't say it. Maid. Dean Riding made a sound out of nowhere. Thor nodded and explained. "Yeah, because that voice told me that Dean Riding is very gentle and likes maids." Listening to Thor's words, a big question mark appeared on Dean Riding's face. That voice. Advertisement. System. Good guy, the system is worthy of you. Understand my heart. ... Of course, the system is incomplete, the maid is just one of his favorite series. Okay. Dean Riding smiled bitterly. However, as for Thor's appearance, it's not bad. Among them, the dimensional retrogrades are not lacking in strength for the time being. On the contrary, it would be better to have someone who can take care of things on the ship. As for this candidate, Thor is very good. Moreover, Thor's strength is still very strong, it is completely able to enter the kitchen, exit the hall, and beat hooligans. Short name. Perfect candidate. Dean Riding probably hasn't had breakfast yet, so I'll start working as a maid now. With that said, Thor jumped and walked into the boat. But at this time, Dean Riding subconsciously grabbed her tail. Startled, Thor turned his head subconsciously. What's wrong, Dean Riding? Dean Riding let go of his hand and said as he walked, "Let's wait for the breakfast. I'll introduce you to the other two partners first." The other two. Thor was slightly taken aback, she thought she and Dean Riding were the only ones on this boat. Looking at Thor's reaction, Dean Riding also guessed, obviously the system hadn't introduced her. Dean Riding nodded, and continued. "They are from different worlds, just like you and me, but maybe a little difficult to get along with." Thor really didn't care. It's okay, as long as Dean Riding is gentle. Quote. Dean Riding frowned slightly, he felt that the guy from the system must have said something else to Thor. 37 Garp, Sengoku's quest asking for flowers. After half a sound. Naval headquarters. On the corridor, two men and a woman are walking hurriedly. What happened? Why did Kong call us over in such a hurry all of a sudden? Garp asked suspiciously while walking with his hands on the back of his head. Hearing the sound, both Suru and Sengoku glanced back at Garp at the same time. I don't know. On the phone, Kong didn't explain anything. He just said, "Let's go to his office right away," saying it's an emergency. Sengoku responded flatly. Emergency? With our position, it's not our turn to intervene in general emergency. He was puzzled, but soon she seemed to think of something again, and continued to speak. Could it be because of the Dean Riding thing? Dean Riding. Hearing what Crane said, Garp chuckled and retorted, "Little Crane, what are you thinking? Don't we know how much that guy Dean Riding is capable of? How could Marine be sentenced because of his affairs? For an emergency?" Sengoku had the same idea as Garp, he also nodded and expressed his opinion. "To tell you the truth, I also thought it would be Dean Riding, but after thinking about it carefully, it seems. With his strength, Marine will not be defined as an emergency at all." Crane didn't pursue this question deeply. He took out the hair rope in his pocket, put up his disheveled hair, and then said seriously, "There is no point in guessing more now. It's better to wait until Kong. Where are you talking?" Seeing this, Garp quickened his pace and walked side by side with the Crane, while laughing and teasing. "Little Crane, I still think you look much better without your hair tied up." Hearing this, he glanced at Garp angrily, and said, "It's not proper to go to see the officer with disheveled hair." Sengoku on the side was also interested, and joked, "Xiaohei, Garp is implying that you are not good looking." Upon hearing this, Garp quickly explained, "Sengoku, don't talk nonsense, I didn't say that." Sengoku spread his hands and put on a serious look. "I know, you think so in your heart, right?" Boom. Crane raised his fist directly, punched Garp and Sengoku on the head, and then said viciously, "Okay, you two, I know exactly what is going on in your head. I'm wronged, Xiaohei." Garp stroked his head with an aggrieved expression on his face. "I can understand you playing Garp, but why do I also bring it together?" Similarly, Sengoku also looked aggrieved. "Enough is enough for the two of you, shut up." He clenched his fist again angrily. Garp and Sengoku immediately panicked when they saw this, and quickly changed the subject. "Sengoku, what did you eat today?" "Advertisement. As usual, how about you?" "Coincidentally, me too, ha ha ha, is it such a coincidence?" Quote. Looking at Garp and Sengoku, Suru sighed softly. After a while, they came to Kong's office. After listening to Kong's explanation, the three of Garp couldn't believe it. "It never occurred to me, it's really because of Dean Riding's matter." Sengoku frowned slightly, his tone slightly dignified. "Is he crazy? Reading the newspaper, I thought he just had a conflict with the Marine or world government personnel, and then declared war with the world government, but never thought that he would attack celestial dragons." Crane said with a shocked face, "If it was the Lox pirates, she would think nothing of it. After all, Lox and his gang were notoriously lunatics. When the Lox pirates had not yet been established, Lox it is already against the world government. Is it really? At this time, Garp stood up and retorted, I don't think you guys don't know what celestial dragons are. Although I don't know much about Dean Riding, but from the previous fights, I think he will definitely not shoot against celestial dragons. The reason why it was shot later must be because of celestial dragons. Garp, watch your words. Sengoku reminded immediately. Yeah, Garp, you can say that around us, but outside, you must not say that, or, the consequences will be unimaginable. Crane also hurriedly reminded, to be honest, I'm really afraid that one day Garp will come into contact with celestial dragons and call others trash. Quote question mark question mark question mark question mark. Your words make me look dumb. Don't get me wrong, you're just dumb. Quote dot 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 quote. Okay, let's not talk about irrelevant things. Celestial dragons are sacred. These disrespectful words are not allowed to be mentioned in the future. In addition, Garp, sometimes the truth is not important. What we have to do is to give the above a satisfactory answer. Kong sat on the chair, explained something, then pushed forward the pile of reward warrants on the table and the information held by the world government, and continued to speak. This is the task I won for you from above. With the strength of the three of you, it should not be difficult to complete. Sengoku nodded, and reached out to pick up the information on the desktop first. We will try our best to finish it. Well, without further ado, let's go. Kong instructed. Yes, although the three of them were in complicated moods at the moment, they still nodded in front of the order and left the office immediately. 38 Retrograde No. 2. Seeking flowers. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, a few days have passed. According to the information collected by Dean Riding from the newspapers, there hasn't been much movement in New World these days. Since Thor's arrival, she has done all the housework on the ship, and as for the relationship, she is even more harmonious than Dean Riding thought. However, when he first arrived, Dean Riding was taken aback by Thor's way of doing housework, and Thor corrected it after talking about it later. Because Dean Riding didn't want to have all the furniture in the boat disappear because of the cleaning. Because, and don't want to, Thor washes the clothes by putting them in his mouth and secreting saliva that only dissolves the dirt. Refer to the original. So, these days, Dean Riding has spent a lot of effort to lead Thor to the right path. Thor. In the lobby of the ship, Dean Riding's complaining words sounded early in the morning. With a plate in his hand, Thor came to Dean Riding with a smile on his face, and asked tentatively. What's the matter, Dean Riding, isn't this breakfast to your liking? Tushan Yaya on the side also said with a dark face, I'm afraid this is not something that suits your appetite. Ha 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 ha. Ace Kano looked at the big piece of meat on the table in front of his eyes, and couldn't help laughing. Thor, on the other hand, looked indifferent, groped the back of his head, and said with a smile, everyone, don't be picky eaters. Quote. This is simply unbearable. Thor, can you stop putting this kind of thing on the table? Who dares to eat this kind of thing? Agreed. It's really not that Dean Riding and the others are picky eaters. The reason is that Thor cut off his own tail and cooked it for Dean Riding and the others to eat. This kind of thing is really not something that ordinary people can swallow. What a waste. There's no other way, even if you don't eat it, then I'll eat it myself. Thor was not polite, his mouth gradually turned into a dragon, and he took a bite of a large piece of meat. After a while, he ate all the big meat on the table of Dean Riding, Tushan Yaya, and Ace Kano into his stomach. In the next second, Thor's tail grew out at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ha 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 ha, it's really an interesting thing. Ace Kano couldn't help but praised. Don't fry your own tail next time. Dean Riding reminded angrily. Thor pouted and nodded. By the way, a few days ago, I asked everyone to help me think of the name of the ship. How did you think of it? Dean Riding asked. The three of Tushan Yaya had a meal. You look at me, I look at you. Obviously, these three people have completely forgotten. Dean Riding sighed softly. Sure enough, I still have to rely on myself. If this is the case, I don't bother to think about it. Let's call it the organization's name, the Retrograde Advertisement. It's up to you to decide. In fact, I can't help you with this kind of thing. Tushan Yaya said flatly, and then continued to talk to Thor. Thor, please help me get some bread out. Well, okay, I'll get it now, Sister Xiaoya. With a smile all over his face, Thor turned around and walked to the kitchen. Of course, Tushan Yaya couldn't accept it at all, and Thor called her Sister Xiaoya, but it wasn't until she heard Thor's age that she felt that there was nothing wrong with shouting like that. It's just a little twisted. At this moment, a system prompt sounded in Dean Riding's mind. Ding. Does the host want to name the warship after Retrograde? Close black lens bracket. Dean Riding hesitated for a few seconds, and finally decided to name it Retrograde. After all, for someone like him, although he had thought of a name a lot, he had difficulty choosing, and Tushan Yaya and the others couldn't come up with any ideas. He had no choice but to cut the mess quickly. Sure. Dean Riding murmured silently in his head. Ding. The naming was successful. Close black lens bracket. As the system's voice fell, what Dean Riding didn't know was that there was a huge statue on the top of the center of the ship. In the eyes of the devil and the angel's body, the devil is shining with red light, and the angel is shining with white light. The eyes seem to have blinked a bit, which has an effect similar to the finishing touch. Soon, in front of Dean Riding, a virtual panel belonging to the ship popped up. Name. Retrograde. Binding. Dimensional retrograde. Controllable person. Host and the summoned. Level 10500s upgrade method. Devil fruit upgrade, voyage mileage, summoning staff running in degree improvement. Ability unlock. Level A. As the level increases, more and more abilities will be unlocked. Dean Riding took a glance, and soon, black lines appeared on his face. Ability unlocking. Ping A, what the hell is this? He complained in his heart. Suddenly, at this time, a reminder sounded in the ship. Alert. It is detected that someone is attacking the hull nearby, and the retrograde is in automatic defense. As the notification sounded in the ship, everyone was startled and quickly reacted. An enemy. Ace Kano stood up quickly. It should be someone from the world government. Tushan Yaya also stood up, guessing. No matter who it is, let's go out and have a look first. With a deep voice, Dean Riding got up and walked towards the door. 39. Why do you call this flat A? Ask for flowers. At the same time, around the retrograde, 3 pirate ships are rapidly approaching. Emission. Standing at the front of the ship in the middle, a middle-aged man with a slightly obese figure and a bushy beard waved a long knife in his hand to command. As soon as the order came out, all the guns on the pirate ship were aimed at the retrograde. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. The dense shells shot out from the muzzle, and then fell down after drawing a beautiful solitary line in midair. However, just as the shells were about to fall on the retrograde, a protective cover suddenly appeared on the retrograde. Boom, boom. The shell exploded directly on the shield, billowing black smoke. This scene directly made everyone look stupid. Boat, Captain, what's going on here? Yeah, the cannonball seemed to be blocked by something, and it was detonated directly in the sky. They couldn't see the protective cover on the retrograde, so they said these words in such a puzzled manner. Captain, this BCH is too evil, our shells can't hit their ship at all. I don't know why, but I always have a bad feeling. Speaking of evil, this ship is really evil. It doesn't even have sails. When you say that, I think so too. Besides, I don't think I've seen this flag before. Tisk tisk tisk, look at you guys who have no eyesight, don't you understand? This must be the boat of some stupid landlord. It's really attractive to make the boat like this. Indeed, this ship gives me a feeling that Lousy is very rich, come and FK me. Who is our captain? Our captain is a great pirate with a reward of 250 million Baileys. That's right, so what if we are in the evil sect, we don't need to be afraid at all. According to the captain, Lox is throwing olive branches at us. Although it was his own nonsense that Lox threw an olive branch at him, he still got a lot of satisfaction in his heart when he heard his subordinates bragging about him. Little ones, keep bombarding me. For such a big ship, treasures must be indispensable. If you capture it, there will be rewards. The pirate captain shouted loudly. It's the captain. With such a shout, everyone's morale was ignited a lot. Fire. Bang bang bang. The dense shelling struck again. At this time, Dean Riding and his group had already walked outside from the inside of the boat. Looking around, what caught their eyes were 3 pirates. Dean Riding took a look. This pirate flag was very unfamiliar, so he immediately guessed that it wasn't too powerful a character. Pirate flag. I thought it was the guys from the world government chasing us. Tushan Yaya said flatly. So what if the world government came after me? Last time I didn't even have time to warm up, they fell down. It's really boring. Standing aside, Ace Kano said with a look of disdain. Thor stared at the cannonball above the midair, his eyes flashed slightly, followed by her mouth gradually turning into a dragon. Accompanied by the opening, an energy ball is condensed. Advertisement. Boom. In an instant, Thor directly shot the energy ball in his mouth out of his mouth, and in an instant, detonated the oncoming shells in the air. Boom. In the midair, there was black smoke, and the fragments of the shells fell into the sea with a crackling sound. Captain, not good, they seem to have a demon fruit power on board. What are you panicking about? This is not the first time we have encountered demon fruit power. The so-called demon fruit power is nothing more than a weak person relying on external forces. Only when one's own strength is strong can one be really strong. The pirate captain retorted with a sound. Immediately, he took off the cloak on his body, waved the long knife in his hand, and shouted loudly, the shelling has no effect, little ones, lean on the boat. It's the captain. The 4 of Dean Riding stared at the approaching pirate ship. Respond to my will, Rita the axe. Ace Kano slowly raised his hand, and when the divine axe Rita was summoned again, it fell from the wall to Ace Kano's hand at an extremely fast speed. Leave the next thing to me. Ace Kano held the magic axe Rita, and stared directly at the pirate ship, his eyes were full of disdain. But, suddenly at this moment, Dean Riding spoke up. Wait, Ace Kano. Ace Kano turned his head, glanced at Dean Riding, and then said flatly, you don't want to be alone again. Of course not, I just want to try it out. It's just the function of our ship. After I test it, you can board it if you want. As soon as Dean Riding finished speaking, an ethereal voice sounded in their ears. Detect whether the master wants to test the function and let the retrograde enter the combat mode. This voice can only be heard by Dean Riding and those who are summoned. Yes, Dean Riding said without hesitation. As for Tushan Yaya and the others, they were leaning against the railing of the ship. To be honest, they also wanted to see what functions the retrograde had. Retrogrades are going to use the function, ping A, is it allowed? Similarly, after the ethereal voice fell, Dean Riding responded immediately without the slightest hesitation. Yes. As Dean Riding's voice fell, the half-demon and half-angel statue in the middle of the boat suddenly moved. When the cold light flashed, the statue directly pulled out the long knife, and then leveled it at the oncoming pirate group. Shua. In an instant, a sound of tearing the air sounded, and a huge red light blade appeared out of thin air, rushing towards the pirate ship at an extremely fast speed. Shua. All three pirate ships split into two in an instant, and a huge deep ditch appeared on the sea surface. Immediately afterwards, huge waves rolled up. Seeing this scene, not to mention the pirates were dumbfounded, Dean Riding was also stunned. What are you? Why do you call this flat A? What about 40 locks? Ask for flowers. This statue can still move. Similarly, Tushan Yaya's face showed a look of surprise, she could clearly perceive that there was no demonic power emanating from this statue. It's not the puppet control that she thought. As for the reason, she doesn't know, but because of this, she has become more and more interested in this world and this ship. It's amazing, how can you take away the three ships with one hit to tie A? Thor waved and applauded. It's not too bad, if Dean Riding lets me take the shot, the efficiency is far better than him. Ace Kano said with a proud face. Thor walked to his side, patted Ace Kano on the shoulder, and said with a smile, Ace Kano, why are you arguing with a boat for this and that? This is very Ace Kano. Tushan Yaya complained from the side. At the same time, the rough sea. Although it is said that the retrogrades hit a split the three ships into two, and also took away a lot of cannon fodder lives. However, there are quite a few survivors. They stood on the wreck with ashen expressions on their faces. Captain, we seem to have hit a stubble. Don't talk nonsense, what is it like? We just encountered a problem. Captain. Damn it, it's really evil. It's fine if the shells can't go in, but the statue can still attack. Damn, what should we do? Although their number seems small, but it seems that everyone is not simple. Naturally, their captain could hear every word of the crew members clearly. B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* it before. They shouldn't be very tricky guys, but why? The more the pirate captain thought about it, the more he couldn't figure it out. He simply didn't want to think about it anymore. He faced Dean Riding and shouted loudly, "Who are you?" Dean Riding took him a look, and didn't intend to return to his meaningless topic. He took a few steps forward, and the captain of the pirate became uneasy when he saw this scene, and quickly shouted again, "I advise you not to mess around. I'm from the Locks Pirates. Locks, you know right. Moved me, you have to weigh the consequences." At this moment, he couldn't care less about being full of lies. Although his physical skills are a little good, his strength is not weak. However, he is not stupid. Just from what Dean Riding and the others did just now, he guessed that this group of people is not easy, and until the last moment, he did not intend to use the most risky method. Locks. Dean Riding stopped and said softly, but the expression on his face didn't show any big waves. And the pirate captain, after seeing Dean Riding's reaction, thought he had bluffed him. He grinned. "That's right, it's the captain of the famous Locks Pirates in New World, Locks D. Zebek." Dean Riding walked to the railing of the boat, looked at him with a slightly cold gaze, and said calmly, "Then his vision is really bad, he wants something like you." When the pirate captain heard this, his anger rose extremely quickly. "What are you talking about? I'm a big pirate with a reward of more than 200 million. Ace Kano, I'll leave the rest to you. Save me and say I eat alone." Dean Riding glanced at Ace Kano from the corner of his eye, and said calmly, "You be asterisk 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 D, are you trying to make an enemy of Locks? Do you know the consequences of what you do?" The pirate captain roared. "What? The Locks Pirates, can attack me unscrupulously, but I can't fight back. Ridiculous." Dean Riding said in a deep voice. "Dean Riding, you all go back, and I'll take care of the rest." Ace Kano confessed, and then jumped with the magic axe Rita in his hand. Advertisement. The pirate on the ship may have some good strength, but for Ace Kano, it is not worth mentioning at all. In less than a minute, the captain of the pirate was chopped off into the sea. Seeing this, the others swam towards the sea in all directions. Ding! There is a summon point falling in the front detection. Close black lens bracket. The original Dean Riding had already turned around and wanted to go back to the boat, but after hearing the system prompt sound from his mind, he was taken aback and turned around subconsciously. Sure enough, around the wreck and around the corpse, a circle of light with numbers appeared. Dean Riding was overjoyed. "Hey, if you fell earlier, maybe I would show kindness and let you go." After all, he jumped and ran towards the calling point. Tushin Yaya and Thor, who were still standing on the railing of the boat, frowned slightly. "Dean Riding, what are you doing? The enemies have been wiped out by Ace Kano." Thor looked at Dean Riding and shouted. "Man stuff. You never know what's going on in his head. Especially Dean Riding, after doing some inexplicable things." Tushan Yaya teased, stretched his waist, and walked into the boat. Baffling. Thor glanced at Tushan Yaya, and then at Dean Riding's back. "That's the charm." Thor showed a strange smile on his face. Ding, successfully picked up the summon point, and got 363 points. Close black lens bracket. Ding, successfully picked up the summon point, and got 280 points. Close black lens bracket. Ding, successfully picked up the summon point, and got 128 points. Close black lens bracket. ... After a while, all the summon points had been picked up by Dean Riding. He sat on the wreck floating on the sea and opened his property panel. Host. Dean Writing. Own ability. Taijutsu assessment. General Conqueror's Haki, 561 thousandths. Armament Haki, 961 thousandths. Observation Haki, 892 one thousandths. Summoning points. 2,341 two thousandths. To get it, complete the task, or drop from things immediately, or use Devil Fruit to exchange. Summoned characters. Ace Kano, 15% running in degree. Tushin Yaya, 8% running in degree. Thor, 0% running in degree. Inheritance. Sun. Advanced edition. Whenever the running in progress of the summoned character increases, the host will have a chance to inherit part of the character's abilities. Storehouse. Quest. Summoning quest, 3/5 not completed. 41 Luogia pirates participate, asking for flowers. Looking at the call point on his attribute panel, Dean Writing was in an inexplicably good mood. It's a lot of money. I don't mind if there are more jobs like this. While speaking, he seemed to have thought of something, and immediately stood up from the shipwreck, glanced at the surrounding shipwreck, and the expression on his face changed. Sloppy, maybe there are devil fruits on this guy's boat. After thinking about it, Dean Writing began to comfort himself. Forget it, even if there is no devil fruit, you have already made a lot of money. Be a human being. Don't be greedy. At the same time, the Holy Land of Mariajoy and Marine also made big moves. After observing the Locks pirates for a period of time, Marine finally got an excellent opportunity. This time, Marshal Marine led the dispatch, and a great battle in New World was gradually kicking off. Grand Line, the first half, a certain island. Dang dang dang. Dang dang dang. Bang bang bang. On the coast, Marine is fighting with pirates. The sound of weapons clashing and gunshots continued. Blood stained the shore. However, what is embarrassing is that although the number of Marines perfectly suppresses pirates. However, despite this, all those who fell to the ground were Marines. Pirates, not a single one fell to the ground. Damn it, how could there be such a tricky pirate in the first half of the Grand Line? Holding a long knife in his hand, Marine Vice Admiral frowned as he watched the man wearing a straw hat, black shirt, and holding a long sword move in and out of the battlefield with ease. If the previous situation is progressing according to the previous situation, it will not be long before Marine will be completely wiped out. If he died in battle here, he would be honored as a martyr, but if he survived, the guilt would always be on him. I thought I ran into a pirate who had accumulated meritorious service for me, but I never thought it would be a pirate group that cost me my life. Marine Vice Admiral cursed, then looked around the surrounding battlefield, and shouted, "Retreat! Retreat! All troops retreat!" After hearing the order to retreat, all the Marines immediately withdrew from the battle and fled in a hurry. After all, if you interact with monsters of this level for one more minute, their death rate will be greatly improved. Die. Advertisement. No matter what anyone is afraid of. However, what is surprising is that as long as the pirates continue to chase, Marine will definitely be destroyed in such an ending, but they just don't chase. Wearing a straw hat and a black shirt, the man drew his long sword from Marine's body, looked at the fleeing Marine, and grinned. The will to be passed down from generation to generation, the changes of the times, and the dreams of people, these are all unstoppable. At this moment, a man with short blonde hair and a strong figure came to his side. The battle had just ended, but his face was not red and his breathing was steady. Obviously, all these signs showed that he was a name strong. I thought the ones who came would be more powerful, but, as before, the ones who came were just simple things, right, Luogia? Rayleigh looked at Luogia from the corner of his eye and said flatly. Yes, this gang of pirates is exactly the Luogia pirate group that will be famous in the future in the original book, and also the pirate group of the future One Piece. Hearing this, Luogia glanced at Rayleigh, and then laughed loudly. Ha 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 ha, there is no way to do this, the Marines have underestimated us too much. As soon as the words fell, another man with a strong figure, wearing sunglasses and a ponytail came over and said softly, "It's not very good, but it's more leisurely." Listening to Jabba's words, Luogia didn't answer, but sat on the rock, picked up a wine jug hanging on his waist, opened it, and poured a few mouthfuls into his mouth. Then a look of enjoyment. After warming up, it's really great to drink this special wine, ha 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 ha. Having said that, New World is very lively in a short period of time, and the rumors about the Locks pirates are in full swing. Rayleigh said. Immediately, he also sat on the rock, reached out and snatched the flagon from Luogia's hand, and poured a few mouthfuls into his own mouth. When he tasted that the wine was different from the wine he had drunk before, his eyes flashed, and he glanced at the jug suspiciously. As the Locks pirates, it is indeed a representative pirate group. Edward Newgate, Charlotte Linlin, Shiki and other big pirates all joined in. Speaking of this, Luogia's face became more and more excited. I really hope to have a chance to fight. Both Rayleigh and Jabba cast contemptuous glances at Luogia at the same time, as if they wanted to say, forget it, with our current strength, we are not enough to fight against the Locks pirates. However, Luogia didn't care about their contemptuous eyes. He put his hand on Rayleigh's shoulder and said with a smile, "Don't forget, we want to be the freest people in the world, and we want to make the world a mess. Turned upside down. If one day in the future, the Locks pirates become our biggest obstacle, then, no matter what, we must go through his level." Rayleigh broke free from Luogia's arm, poured the wine into his mouth again, and explained, "You keep saying that we haven't had the time to enter the new world, so. When we enter the new world, the Locks pirates don't even know if they will be disintegrated by the world government. Rayleigh, don't finish my drink." Luo Jia looked at Rayleigh talking and poured wine into his own mouth. Immediately, he became anxious and didn't answer the topic, so he reached out to grab the wine. Rayleigh quickly dodged and shouted, "Don't be so stingy, Luo Jia, I'll give you a few barrels later." "I don't want it. I got this wine by chance from an enemy ship. It has a unique taste. I have never drank it before. The only pity is that I didn't ask him what the wine was. Where did it come from?" Luo Jia hurriedly hid his wine jug from Rayleigh's hand, then closed the lid and hung it on his waist, then glanced at Rayleigh, as if to say, "You can do anything, but you can't hit me." Flag an idea. 42 The ninja god of One Piece world Ginseng asked for flowers. Seeing Luo Jia like this, Rayleigh had no choice but to give up, and joked with a smile, "I'll get it next time, some of you are greedy, Luo Jia." Luo Jia waved his hands disapprovingly, and smiled, "Then let's wait until next time to talk about it, but speaking of it, New World is indeed quite lively recently." Speaking of the latter, Luo Jia changed the topic. "You mean, New World has recently become more active with many pirate groups." Jabba also sat down close to the rock at this time. Although they have not entered the New World now, they have a lot of information about the New World and the outside world. It's normal. The reason why it has become more active is largely because of the Locks pirates. Rayleigh said his opinion on the side. "The world government is busy now, ha 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 ha." Luo Jia smiled gloatingly. "That's true. Besides, speaking of it, I read in the newspapers that a group of guys directly declared war on the world government." Rayleigh continued. Apparently, those guys, Rayleigh was talking about were Dean Riding and the others. "I have the impression that the world government seems to be very caring. They didn't even know the name, the power, and the photos they took, so they just hand-drawn the wanted reward notice." As soon as Luo Jia's voice fell, Jabba continued, "Not only that, it seems that there are only 3 people in the arrest warrant. I'm curious what these 3 people did to make the world government guys so anxious." At this time, Luo Jia stood up, stretched his waist, and said with a nonchalant expression, "Whatever he did, let's go, clean up, let's wash the bloodline on our bodies in the sea." New World, a sea area. The retrograde is sailing in calm seas. Tushan Yaya is reading a newspaper in the lobby of the ship. Ace Kano was outside the boat on the second floor, lying on a deck chair, closing his eyes and meditating. Thor, on the other hand, messed around in the kitchen. As for Dean Riding, he is quite busy. Not long ago, he got enough summon points from the pirates to summon the characters again. Right now, I'm really busy with the summoning process. System, summon, ding. This call needs to consume 2000 call points, whether to call or not. Close black lens bracket. Call, ding. The summoning is successful, and 2000 summoning points will be deducted this time. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket ding. Congratulations to host for successfully summoning and getting the Senju Hashirama from Hokage Ninja, close black lens bracket. As soon as the system's notification sounded, suddenly, a virtual panel popped out in front of Dean Riding. Host. Dean Riding. Own ability. Taijutsu assessment. General Conqueror's Haki, 561 thousandths. Armament Haki, 961 thousandths. Observation Haki, 892 one thousandths. Summoning points. 341 4 thousandths. Get the method, complete the task, or drop from things immediately, or use Devil Fruit to exchange. Summoned characters. Ace Kano, 15% running in degree. Tushin Yaya, 8% running in speed. Thor, 3% running in speed. Senju Hashirama, 1% running in speed. Inheritance. Sun. Advanced Edition. Whenever the running in progress of the summoned character increases, the host will have a chance to inherit part of the character's abilities. Advertisement. Storehouse. Quest. Summoning quest, 4/5 not completed. The required summon points have doubled again. Looking at the virtual panel in front of him, Dean Riding couldn't help sighing, and then continued to complain. As the number of summons increases, the difficulty seems to increase. After nagging, Dean Riding closed his properties panel. Is it Senju Hashirama this time? While speaking, a figure flashed in Dean Riding's mind. Speaking of Senju Hashirama, Dean Riding's understanding of him is far better than that of Tushin Yaya, Thor and Ace Kano. Because Hokage Ninja left a deep impression on Dean Riding, who hadn't traveled through it. With wood style in one hand, he played superbly, clapped his hands, and shouted whatever he wanted. One thing that is unquestionable is that Senju Hashirama's strength is very strong. In the original book, he is the reincarnation of Ashura, the second son of Sage of Six Paths Otsutsuki Yuya. In the original book, he is also the only ninja that Uchiha Madara fears, and, together with Uchiha Madara, is revered as a legendary ninja. Anyone who has seen Senju Hashirama said that Senju Hashirama is a mythical person like Sage of Six Paths, and he is hailed as the ninja god by the ninja world. The bottom line is that Senju Hashirama, all things aside, is the easiest one to get along with compared to them all. Because he has a gentle personality and a bold and forthright personality. As time passed, the summoning process was the same as usual, and a ray of light shone in front of Dean Riding. Immediately afterwards, a white human-shaped dummy appeared out of thin air and appeared in front of Dean Riding's eyes. Accompanied by the injection of the previous light, the dummy slowly became alive, and the skin color was becoming normal at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the next second, a man with long black hair, wearing a tight black combat uniform and red layered armor on the outside appeared in front of Dean Riding's eyes. With the opening of the pupils, Dean Riding's figure was reflected in his eyes. After a few seconds of hesitation, Senju Hashirama spoke out first. At first I thought that it was another junior who used the forbidden technique reanimation jutsu to use me as a weapon of war, but, now it seems that this is not the case. Senju Hashirama looked around at his body, the physical body was real. Dean Riding leaned his back against the railing of the boat and did not speak, quietly waiting for Senju Hashirama's next words. Is he the creator? Suddenly, Senju Hashirama looked at Dean Riding and asked. The creator. Senju Hashirama's sudden sentence made Dean Riding startled, but in the next second, he guessed that the creator mentioned by Senju Hashirama was the system. Perhaps, it's not appropriate to describe it as the creator. He should be far better than the creator. 43 My boat has become a spirit. Ask for flowers. Is it far better than the creator? That's really powerful. Senju Hashirama sighed with emotion. Although Senju Hashirama once lived in his world, he is a real strongman, but to the creator, he is like gravel, and he is not even qualified to mention it. Because everything they have is a created being. For Senju Hashirama's words, Dean Riding did not speak, although he has not seen the real ability of the system. However, to make things that exist out of nothing appear in their true form, Dean Riding felt that his ability must be far better than the creator. Maybe, the pirate didn't exist in the first place, but the system just let him exist. Dean Riding once thought about these questions, but he didn't have a deep understanding. Because, with his ability, deep understanding will only make him unable to distinguish reality from fantasy. Putting aside the topic of Senju Hashirama, Dean Riding said with a smile, Hashirama, Dimension Retrograde welcomes you. Senju Hashirama did not pursue the previous topic deeply. He smiled gently. Although my life has long since ended, now, I have come back to life in another way. It seems, not bad. Dean Riding, in the days to come, I still hope for advice. Senju Hashirama's thinking is quite clear. His life in the world he once lived in has come to an end. Now, an existence stronger than the creator has given him a new life, and he should have a new journey. However, as soon as Senju Hashirama's voice fell, and Dean Riding hadn't responded, a loud voice came from the corridor on the second floor. As this, our new partner. The two looked up, and it was the figure of Ace Kano that caught their eyes. This is. Senju Hashirama looked at Dean Riding, although he had some ideas in his heart, but he still wanted to get the real answer from Dean Riding. We're all from different worlds just like you, Dean Riding responded. After the answer in his heart was confirmed, Senju Hashirama greeted Ace Kano. I'm meeting you for the first time. My name is Senju Hashirama. Like you, I come from a different world. Ace Kano got up from the reclining chair, then leaned on the guardrail on the second floor, looked at Senju Hashirama, and said leisurely with an arrogant expression, Ace Kano. Dean Riding frowned slightly when he saw Ace Kano's appearance, and there was not much emotion on his face. After all, he has long been used to getting along these days. Don't worry about it, Hashirama, this guy has always been like this. Dean Riding reminded, and then walked towards the inside of the boat, reminding, come on, take the other people you meet. Senju Hashirama was obviously stunned for a moment, stepped to keep up, and then asked in surprise, is there anyone else? There are still 2 women, more and more people will join in the future. Dean Riding nodded. After a while, Dean Riding led Senju Hashirama to the ship. At this moment, in the lobby, Thor was letting Tushan Yaya try the newly completed dessert. When Dean Riding came in, both of them looked at Dean Riding at the same time, and then looked at Senju Hashirama who was standing beside Dean Riding. Dean Riding, you are just in time to try my newly completed dessert. The moment Thor saw Dean Riding, his face was filled with a smile, he quickly picked up the dessert left on the table, and walked in front of Dean Riding. The other hand used a knife and fork to start a snack and put it on Dean Riding's mouth. Dean Riding didn't refuse. After all, this isn't a dark dish, Thor still has a bit of technique. Seeing Dean Riding eat into his mouth, Thor let out a look of anticipation, and asked expectantly, how is it, how is it, how does it taste? Good. Dean Riding gave a pertinent answer. Thor curled his lips, with an unhappy expression on his face. Sure enough, failed again. Advertisement. Dean Riding stretched out his hand, flicked Thor's forehead lightly, and said, don't be discouraged, this is far more delicious than what you made before, which means you are making progress. Sure enough, when the simple Thor heard Dean Riding's words, all the unhappiness on his face disappeared, and he kept nodding his head. Really? Speaking of which, who is this? Yaya Tushin sat on the sofa, staring at Senju Hashirama, who interrupted the conversation between Dean Riding and Thor. Dean Riding came back to his senses, smiled slightly and said, almost forgot, our new partner, Senju Hashirama. As he spoke, he introduced to Senju Hashirama, the one next to me is named Thor, and the one sitting on the sofa is named Tushin Yaya. Welcome. Thor greeted Senju Hashirama happily. The aloof Tushan Yaya also echoed her welcome. After finishing the introduction, Dean Riding didn't say much about other things. After all, if you want to have a harmonious relationship, you still have to look at yourself. The so-called master leads the door to practice and sees the individual. Immediately, he sat on the sofa, picked up the newspaper that Shanyaya was reading just now, and read it. Dot 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 dot. Time passed quickly, and a few days passed in a flash. On this day, Dean Riding and the others landed on an island. It's not that the supplies on the ship need to be replenished, it's mainly because Dean Riding and the others feel that staying on the ship is too boring. Moreover, there are fewer people encountered at sea, and if you land on the island, you have a higher chance of getting a summoning point. On the grove by the coast, Dean Riding and his party are heading to town. Is it true that no one is guarding the retrograde? On the way, Thor asked curiously. No, the retrograde has an identification function. Only we can board it, and no one else can. Dean Riding explained. As soon as the words fell, Senju Hashirama on the side added something. But, the boat seems to be missing. When everyone heard this, they all turned their heads. Although they had already walked a relatively long distance, they were standing on a high place. If they looked back, according to the current distance, there were no high obstructions around them, and they could see the coast. What to wear? But, at this moment on the coast, where is there any shadow of the boat? I see. Where's Lousy's boat? Dean Riding suddenly became anxious. He said just now that he didn't have to worry. What the hell, isn't he slapping his face now? I left for a while. Lousy's boat was stolen. Dean Riding looked puzzled. Your heart is really big. Tu Shan Yaya sighed softly at the side. However, just when Dean Riding wanted to return to find. Suddenly, at this moment, a head poked out from a tree not far behind him. Found out. Master Dean Riding, I was wrong, I shouldn't have sneaked out to play. 44 Shaki who was entangled by bounty hunter asking for flowers. Everyone was shocked and watched. At this time, the person hiding behind the big tree also came out. It was a little girl about 7 or 8 years old, with 2 braids on her jet black hair and a chubby little face. Wearing a half black and half white dress, her little feet were bare. He looked at Dean Riding with an aggrieved face, like a child who did something wrong. Who is she? Ace Kano paused slightly, and looked at Dean Riding curiously. I don't know either. Could it be a new partner? Thor also guessed. It should be. After all, he just called out the 4 words Dean Riding. Tu Shan Yaya also expressed her thoughts. But, Dean Riding on the side was stunned. It was absolutely impossible for him to be his newly summoned partner. If so, the system would definitely prompt. Don't talk nonsense, this guy is not. Dean Riding retorted. Thor walked over very positively, looked around the little girl, and then put on a detective Morpheus and asked, what's your name? Retrograde. The little girl replied nervously. The retrograde. Thornton was taken aback for a moment, then looked at Dean Riding and the others, and said with a smile, she has the same name as our ship. Quote. Quote. Everyone has suddenly realized, but Thor has not recovered yet. The half black and half white dress has a feature that is associated with the retrograde. Dean Riding muttered. She still calls you Master Dean Riding, which can make it even more certain that she is. Tu Shan Yaya echoed. So, the little girl in front of me is our ship, the retrograde. Ace Kano also spoke out. What? Hearing the words of Dean Riding and his party, Thor's eyes widened, and he looked at the retrograde with disbelief. You are our ship. Retrograde. The retrograde nodded. Yes, Lord Thor, I'm too boring staying on the coast. I just thought about sneaking out to play. I was wrong, Lord Dean Riding. Dean Riding was a little shocked. His boat could turn into a human form, which he never imagined. However, it is a good thing that the retrograde can be transformed into a human. In this way, the chance of being found by Marine on the island is reduced. At the same time, it is also convenient in travel, without having to return to the original location every time you board the ship, and so on. All in all, no harm at all. Advertisement. No need to apologize. If you had said earlier that you could transform into a human, we would have taken you along. Dean Riding explained. And when the retrograde heard this, the heart that was hanging just now disappeared without a trace. Really, Master Dean Riding, can I really walk with you? The retrograde asked cautiously. Of course. Dean Riding nodded, and then asked curiously, by the way, you can change into an adult, why don't you change into an adult? Of course it's because my level is not enough. Retrograde said with a smile. Is it even linked to the level? Dean Riding thought to himself, he didn't really care too much. That's the case, let's continue on our way. After learning that his boat was not missing, Dean Riding felt relieved, turned around and continued on his way. The retrograde, on the other hand, carried its short legs and ran to keep up. In a short while, the bustling town came into their sight. They first found a place to live, and then moved freely. As for Dean Riding's plan, he intends to have a good meal, taste the local wine by the way, and finally go to take a comfortable bath. It was the first time he saw this scene in this world. However, on the way to the restaurant Dean Riding was looking for, the crowd started running towards the same place. At first, Dean Riding didn't care about it, but the more he thought about it later, the more curious he became, so he followed to see the excitement, and he didn't forget to buy a pack of potato chips on the way. Look at the excitement, without potato chips, there is always a little soul missing. He jumped, walked along the wall, and finally landed on an eaves. This position was just right for him to see what happened in front of him. He sat down, opened the potato chips, and stared straight ahead, Tisk tisk tisk. I thought it was something, it turned out to be a simple fight. Sure enough, whether it is the past world or the current world, the common people like to be the people who eat melons. However, in the next second, among the fighting crowd below, a woman's face flashed past Dean Riding's eyes. Dean Riding was stunned for a moment, although it was only a short second, but he recognized that this woman is Shaki. It is the proprietress of the store where Luffy arrives at Sabayati Archipelago in the original book. However, she does not have short hair now, but long black hair. She still has a hot body and sexy clothes. I wanted to leave at first, but now, I can continue to read, it's just. While speaking, Dean Riding looked at the potato chips in his hand, and then sighed softly, damn, if only there was a jug of good wine. Dot 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 dot. Below, Shaki is struggling. Don't struggle, Shaki, it's just your bad luck to meet us bounty hunters. A muscular man with a long knife in his hand smiled charmingly. Tisk tisk tisk, if this deal is done, we can get a lot of Bailey from the world government, enough for us to enjoy for a while. Another fat man with a hammer in his hand also laughed. Shaki frowned slightly. Although their strength is not very strong, they have a great advantage in numbers. Moreover, these bounty hunters are quite smart, and they are only now adopting wheel warfare. 45 Those who watch the theater become parties asking for flowers. Then, if you have the ability, you can give it a try. You may not know who will eat it. Facing a group of bounty hunters, Shaki is not timid in terms of momentum. Tough mouth, brother, step back first, let me see how hard her mouth is. The man with the sledgehammer came out and rushed towards Shaki without saying a word. When he reached a certain distance, he jumped and raised the big hammer in his hand high, and armament hockey covered it. Pirate, take your life. Facing this blow, Shaki was not stupid enough to take it hard, and quickly dodged to the side. Boom, sounded. When the big hammer fell, there was a roar, and a large pit was instantly sunken in the ground, and cracks in the shape of spider webs were spreading at a speed visible to the naked eye. After the miss, the man with the sledgehammer hit Shaki with a backhand, but Shaki still chose to dodge. Boom, boom. Didn't you have a hard mouth just now? Fight me head on if you have the ability. While waving the big hammer in his hand, he still taunted Shaki. And at this moment, Shaki seized the opportunity, and armament hockey instantly covered his fist, then jumped up and punched him in the face. His body was slightly tilted, his head was tilted to one side, and blood spattered from his mouth. Just when Shaki was about to punch him, he instantly straightened his head, facing Shaki with a wicked smile. Finally hooked you B asterisk 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 D pirate. Shaki was taken aback, his expression changed drastically, and he realized that he had been tricked. In this position, she couldn't dodge at all. Go to hell. The man directly swung the sledgehammer in his hand and slammed it down on Shaki. No way, at this distance, Shaki can only defend. Bang, sounded. Although there is armament hockey defense, but at this moment, he can still feel the severe pain coming from his arm. Shua. Shaki flew upside down in an instant, and didn't stop until it slid tens of meters on the ground. Billowing smoke and dust filled the air. The crowd watching the theater over there retreated tens of meters, for fear that their battle would implicate themselves. Cough cough cough. Damn it. Shaki staggered to his feet, looking around, looking for a way to escape. However, in a blink of an eye, he saw Dean Riding sitting cross-legged on the eaves, eating potato chips leisurely and watching a play. This guy is. Soon, in Shaki's mind, the wanted reward notice that he saw a few days ago appeared. In the next second, a ghost idea sprouted from her mind. She raised her head and shouted in Dean Riding's direction. Hey, do me a favor, count me as a favor to you, and after it's done, you can do whatever you want me to do. Dean Riding was taken aback for a moment, and looked behind him, but there was no one there. Advertisement. I was just talking to you. Shaki spoke again. Dean Riding's face darkened. What kind of bullshit words this girl was talking about? Dean Riding naturally knew her petty thoughts, and there was no way for her to use a beauty trick to drag herself into the water. Don't yell, let them misunderstand that I know you very well. Dean Riding responded casually. Hey, men are really ruthless. Are you willing to watch them bully a weak woman like this? Shaki attacked again, trying to win Dean Riding's sympathy. But, obviously, her calculations were wrong. Dean Riding didn't make any waves at all, and even wanted to yell at those bounty hunters, why are you still standing there, FK her. Of course, it would be even better if a little summoning point could be dropped among them. I'm not a very kind person. I'll fight you well and leave you alone. I'm just a passerby, Dean Riding said flatly. And when Shaki was about to say something, the man with the big hammer rushed over again. Shaki quickly turned his eyes away from Dean Riding, and stared directly at the man in front of him. Soon, a ghostly idea sprouted in his mind again. And many more. I'll wait for your head. The man with the hammer ignored Shaki at all, swung the big hammer in his hand and hammered him. But Shaki said while dodging, do you want to catch the one on the roof together? That guy is worth 150 million Baileys. What? The man with the hammer stopped suddenly, jumped back, and retreated to a safe distance to prevent Shaki from attacking him. Immediately afterwards, his gaze lifted to the roof, to Dean Riding. It does look familiar. Muttering, he looked back at his partner and asked, is that guy on the roof a pirate? When everyone heard the sound, they raised the roof to look. It seems to be true. A little familiar, but a little strange. No, why don't I have an impression? It seems to be, why do I feel a little impressed? Whether he is or not, catch him first, and let him go if he catches the wrong one. That's right, leave him to me. Dean Riding, who was sitting cross-legged on the roof, was speechless. I just want to watch a show. Looking back, it seemed that he was also dragged into the water because he was watching a movie. Until now, Dean Riding was dragged into the water because of watching a movie. After these 2 trips, Dean Riding has come to the conclusion, don't be a crowd, because, in front of you, you are likely to become a party. I'm sorry, my friend, I have to. If we both can leave completely, I will definitely repay you. Shaki felt a little guilty, but for him, there was no way to do it. It was a bit difficult for her to escape from the hands of these bounty hunters. The ghost wants your reward. Lousy, just watch a show. Dean Riding stood up and gave a Shaki slap. 46 Are you besieging our boss? Ask for flowers. Before Dean Riding had too much time to complain, on the bounty hunter's side, a burly man in a brown cloak and holding a long knife had already launched an attack on Dean Riding first. Dean Riding immediately put the potato chips in his hand on the eaves, then stood up, and armament hockey quickly covered his hands. Bang! Sounded. Dean Riding immediately caught the blow with an empty hand, and received the blow. The violent impact made the eaves he was stepping on rattle, and it seemed that there was a possibility of collapsing at any moment. Let me say, bro, that guy is obviously full of lies, right? You'll believe her after a few words. Dean Riding said calmly. Unexpectedly, after listening to Dean Riding's words, the burly bounty hunter grinned and said, I don't think what she said may be false, right? I don't believe that an ordinary passerby can pick up I hit it. So we can't have a good talk. When Dean Riding said this, a murderous intent had clearly begun to show in his eyes. HMPH. Do the weak also want to have the right to speak? Do the weak also want to be eligible to make conditions? The burly bounty hunter laughed sarcastically. Call. Dean Riding sighed softly. What he said was not unreasonable. The weak really have no right to speak, and they are indeed not qualified to negotiate terms. If this is the case, then, let the heavens decide our fate. Having said that, Dean Riding pulled out his other hand from the long knife, and the moment he lifted it up, a purple fireball instantly condensed at a speed visible to the naked eye. The burly man was stunned when he saw the fireball that appeared out of thin air at this moment. Demon. Demon fruit power. He wanted to draw the long knife back, but Dean Riding never gave him the chance. Sun without mercy. With a light sound from Dean Riding, his arms were lowered, and the huge purple fireball rushed towards the bounty hunter. The bounty hunter's pupils constricted violently. At first, Dean Riding thought he would let go of the long knife, and then dodged. But what he did next, directly confused Dean Riding, saw him covering his hand with armament hockey, and then punched the oncoming fireball. Boom! Sounded. Accompanied by a loud noise, a huge stream of hot air mixed with the debris of the house instantly spread in all directions, followed by billowing thick smoke, slowly rising. Cough, cough, what's going on? One of the bounty hunters affected by the fireball slowly stood up from the ground, asking with question marks all over his face, but he couldn't be blamed for this, because his attention had been on Shaki just now. Then, with a loud explosion sound, when he came back to his senses, he was already blown away by the aftermath of the explosion. I saw it. The guy on the roof before was a demon fruit power, he was responsible for the explosion just now. Another bounty hunter explained. Advertisement. Demon fruit power. Damn it, looking at this power, it seems like a very tricky guy. B****************, D, who came up with the bad idea just now, to find trouble with such a guy. But it's too hasty. I haven't investigated it clearly yet, so I acted carelessly. Now it's all right, and I've offended a troublesome guy. Instead of complaining, it's better to find a way to deal with it. Some people are sad, and naturally some are happy. Shaki is one of them. She didn't know at first that Dean Riding possessed such abilities, and she thought that she would pull a person into the water and fight the bounty hunters together. But never expected that Dean Riding is still a hidden master. It seems that I shouldn't die. Shaki muttered, and his hanging heart got a little bit of relief at this moment. Soot Center. Dean Riding stared at the bounty hunter lying on the ground below, breathing black smoke, and frowned slightly. You are the toughest person I have ever seen. You actually catch the fireball with your hands. I don't have the courage. After complaining, his face became serious, and he continued, you are right, the weak have no right to speak, and they are not qualified to negotiate terms. Swish swish swish. Suddenly at this moment, figures rushed into the center of the smoke and dust, surrounding Dean Riding. Who are you? A pirate? One of the bounty hunters asked solemnly. However, Dean Riding didn't intend to talk to them, and at the moment he was about to strike, suddenly, a loud voice came from behind the group of bounty hunters. Are you attacking our leader? Everyone was startled, and turned their heads to hear the reputation. At this time, there were 2 men standing on the roof not far away. One of them was a man with long black hair, wearing a tight black combat uniform with red layered armor on the outside. The other has short orange hair, a burly figure, and a one-handed axe hanging from his waist. That's right, the 2 of them are Hashirama and Ace Kano. The 2 of them originally followed the crowd to watch the play, but after arriving, they found that something seemed wrong. The protagonist in the play turned out to be Dean Riding. 47 Marines intelligence personnel seeking flowers. P.S. I went back to my hometown for worship in the past 2 days, so there is no update. It's just that the update time is relatively late, but there is a delay in the refresh of Filu, and it is not refreshed in many cases. It will be updated at normal time tomorrow. Dot 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 dot. Who are they? One of the bounty hunters asked suspiciously. No, I don't know, could it be that guy Shaki's reinforcements? Another bounty hunter followed suit. You two idiots, didn't you hear what the two of them were saying just now? We are besieging the head of their family. The two bounty hunters who spoke earlier shook their heads. To be honest, the two of them really didn't hear clearly. They just heard the sound and then turned around. Otherwise, they are not mentally handicapped, how could they ask such stupid questions? That guy. When Shaki saw Ace Kano's arrest warrant flashed in her mind again. That guy's bounty is 100 million Baileys. Muttering, Shaki looked at Senju Hashirama again. This man, he is very strange, there is absolutely no understanding about him in his mind. It should be a rookie, or it may be that his strength is not up to the standard. The world government has not issued a reward warrant. Shaki muttered again. However, no matter what, now that Dean Riding has also been involved, and now that his partner has also come, the chances of getting rid of the bounty hunter have increased a lot. For Dean Riding's reckless attack, they were devastated, and now, with two unfamiliar faces, this group of bounty hunters began to become more cautious. Siege, two friends, don't get me wrong, it's just, your boss hurt our friend, we just want an explanation. One of the bounty hunters opened his mouth towards Ace Kano talked to Senju Hashirama. That's right, I think you guys are not the kind of unreasonable people. Another bounty hunter continued. Just as the third bounty hunter was about to continue speaking, Dean Riding's laughter cut him off. Ha 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 ha. All the bounty hunters looked directly at him, feeling a bad premonition in their hearts. You guys are really ridiculous. When I talk to you, you have to talk to me. When I talk to you, you have to talk to me. Dean Riding sneered and shook his head, his eyes raised slightly, looking at Ace Kano and Senju Hashirama. Leave none, kill them all. UB asterisk 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 D. As soon as the bounty hunters heard Dean Riding's words, some of them became anxious and their anger soared. Arrogant guy, who will live and who will die is not sure. Brothers, kill their leaders first. As soon as the words came out, one of the bounty hunters took the lead. He waved the long knife in his hand and shouted angrily, go to me. Before the death word could be uttered, Rita the axe pierced through his abdomen in an instant, and landed in front of Dean Riding. Advertisement. As for the body of the bounty hunter, it fell on the ground. The bounty hunters were terrified, and hurriedly moved away, staring directly in the direction of Ace Kano. Ace Kano raised the corner of his mouth slightly. Who allowed you to look me in the eye? As soon as the words fell, a powerful coercion enveloped in an instant. Not only did the bounty hunter have a bad feeling, even Shaki panicked, feeling like he was in bigger trouble. World government bastards, you have made my mother miserable, why don't you give him a reward of 100 million Baileys for this strength? You don't care about the strength of the leader who offered him a reward of 150 million Baileys. The world government is really harmful. After complaining several times in a row, Shaki hurriedly wanted to get away. After all, if he didn't get away, Dean Riding wouldn't reason with him later. But just when Shaki was about to turn around and run towards the crowd, Dean Riding fell from the sky and landed in front of her. You don't want to throw the stall to me, and then run away yourself. Dean Riding was the first to speak out. The reason why he handed over the group of bounty hunters to Ace Kano and Senju Hashirama was that Shaki would sneak away. Slip. Shaki smiled awkwardly. Why? I'm different from them. As I said before, as long as you help me, I will agree to any request you have. It seems, any of your requests are not of much help to me. Dean Riding said lightly as he walked slowly towards Shaki. Before Dean Riding took a step, Shaki's nerves would tense up a bit. She gritted her teeth and continued, then let me tell you something that will help you. Dean Riding didn't speak, just walked forward silently. Shaki didn't pause either, and quickly said, I think intelligence should be useful to you. Although I am a pirate, I have a lot of information in my hands. Some people even said that I am an intelligence expert. This island, and Marine's intelligence personnel, we made such a commotion in the market, obviously, first guess the Marine side has already received the wind with a high probability. If, Marine, they think you are a great threat, they will definitely dispatch Marine, so, my idea is, let's get out of here quickly. Sure enough, when Shaki finished speaking, Dean Riding stopped. Marine's intelligence personnel. Dean Riding muttered, Shaki's information is important, but it's not important, and it's still helpful to him. Forget it, I can save your life for you, of course, just relying on information alone can't offset it, you tell me the most famous tavern in the local area. Dean Riding said slowly. Shaki was slightly taken aback, she was still afraid that Dean Riding would have some tricky conditions ahead, but when she heard that she was going to the most famous local tavern, her tense mood eased a lot. Go straight from here, then turn right and enter, you will see a restaurant called XXX, and opposite the restaurant is the largest tavern in this town, which gathers a small number of fine wines from the region, you can go and have a look. Shaki tell the truth. Dean Riding didn't reply, he just turned around, looked in the direction of Ace Kano, and walked over slowly. As for Shaki, he was not afraid that she would deceive him, after all, Dean Riding knew where she lived after she washed her hands. 48 The coming storm, asking for flowers. Looking at Dean Riding's back, Shaki's pale complexion recovered a lot, and at the same time he sighed deeply. Although I haven't seen how he makes a move, but, my intuition tells me that this guy is far more terrifying than the bounty hunters. Today's incident was indeed too hasty, and it almost put myself in danger. In order not to cause accidents, Shaki did not stay in this place too long, and left here as quickly as possible. As for Senju Hashirama and Ace Kano, it was also very smooth. After a while, the bounty hunters were all lying on the ground. Oh, it's really boring. I thought these guys would have some skills, but I never expected that they would be so vulnerable. Ace Kano carried the axe Rita on his shoulder, overlooking the bounty hunter lying on the ground. He curled his lips and shook his head. It's true, I haven't warmed up yet. As a result, people are all lying on the ground. Senju Hashirama also looked helpless. After coming to this world, he has always wanted to experience the world power, but never had this chance. How about I fight with you, Hashirama? Ace Kano suddenly changed the subject and asked. Upon hearing this, Senju Hashirama said with a smile on his face, that's exactly what I mean. Although I don't have the opportunity to experience the power of this world now, I can experience the power of your world. There was no one else around them, and their voices were not loud, so they were not worried about being heard by anyone other than them. Then come on. Just as Ace Kano was about to make a move, Dean Riding's words came from the side. Forget it, I really don't want to go back to the retrograde just after I arrived on the island and haven't stopped for a few days, so you can change the time and compete next time when you go to a deserted island or travel. Quote. The main thing, not to worry about other things, Senju Hashirama and Ace Kano are very strong. Once the battle is selfless, it is easy to turn the surroundings into ruins. All right, Senju Hashirama nodded to Ace Kano. Although it was a pity, they didn't want to go back to the retrograde immediately and live a boring and tasteless life every day. Also, in the days to come, let's try to keep a low profile. There are marine intelligence personnel on this island. Once Zhang Yang gets too involved, we will be targeted by Marine soon. At this time, Dean Riding gave another instruction. Marine, wouldn't it be better if they came? Ace Kano suddenly became interested again. I've always wanted to experience the power of Marine. Senju Hashirama also looked excited, wishing for a hearty battle now. You two guys. Dean Riding couldn't complain. Senju Hashirama was a good person at first, but after coming for a while, he was completely misled by Ace Kano's words. Forget it, you can come here however you like. By the way, I know there is a tavern that has fine wines from all over the world. Do you want to try it? Dean Riding asked. Then what are you waiting for? I've wanted to taste it for a long time. Senju Hashirama groped the back of his head and said with a smile on his face. However, just after he finished speaking, he seemed to think of something again, and quickly added. By the way, is there a casino here? It's been a long time since I've been here, and my hands are a little itchy. Advertisement. Hearing Senju Hashirama's words, the corners of Dean Riding's mouth twitched. In the original book, Senju Hashirama really likes to gamble. But every time you gamble, you will lose. However, Senju Hashirama is a thief. In the original book, he gambles with the money of his younger brother Senju Tobarama and his friend Uchiha Madara. Now, in the world of pirates, Dean Riding is really worried that Senju Hashirama will lose all his property. Whether there is a casino or not, if you, forget it, although I have a lot of property, I think you can't help it. Dean Riding said calmly. Dean Riding, you don't trust me. Senju Hashirama retorted. Don't explain it to me. I know your background very well. I'm telling you that eating, drinking and having fun are considered public expenses. If you want to gamble, you can go to Yaya and Thor to pay you. As soon as the words fell, Ace Kano continued. What's the fun in this? Just rob them of their money, do you still need to gamble? You don't understand, so, it's no fun at all. Senju Hashirama sighed softly, and it must be impossible to ask Thor and Tushin Yaya to send him money to gamble. Drinking. Dean Riding stretched, walking slowly in the direction Shaki pointed. As for the damaged venues around, that's none of my business, and I can deal with it as I like. At the same time, New World, in a certain sea area. A huge warship is sailing. On the boat rail, Garp and Sengoku are fishing leisurely. It's been so many days. There is no news about them at all. Finding someone in the vast sea is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Garp couldn't help but complain. Wait, this kind of thing can't be rushed. Our marine intelligence personnel are all over the islands of New World. As long as there is any news, we will receive it very quickly. Sengoku sat on the plate and replied casually. Mainly, it's not that he doesn't care, but that Garp has said it so many times these days that Sengoku is tired of hearing it. What shit marine intelligence personnel, those guys are living for nothing. It's been a few days. The intelligence personnel you mentioned don't even have any news. When Sengoku heard it, he also got a little angry. Come on Garp, I'm already annoyed by hearing it. Now at this time, we can only wait for the information from the intelligence personnel. Maybe, you think, the guys from Dean Riding suddenly turned the ship come near us. Garp said disapprovingly, it doesn't seem impossible, it's better than finding a needle in a haystack. Big fart. Are you dreaming? 49 The self-proclaimed era is not recognized by the world, seeking flowers. Sengoku, why are you so impatient with me, ha 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 ha. Garp listened to Sengoku's words, instead of getting angry, he squinted his eyes and laughed while grabbing the fishing rod. Although there seemed to be anger in the words, Sengoku's heart was very calm, because after getting along with Garp for so long, he was very clear about his character. Sudden. At this moment, he came out of the boat in a hurry and shouted, "You two guys, stop fishing, it's time to get down to business." Hearing the sound, both Garp and Sengoku were taken aback, and subconsciously asked in unison, "We have information about Dean Riding." Crane nodded and explained, "Just a minute ago, I received a secret call from Marine Intelligence personnel. According to Marine Intelligence personnel, they saw Dean riding in Dora Vega and they fought with bounty hunters." Quote. When Garp and Sengoku heard this, he suddenly regained some energy, quickly closed his shot, and jumped off the ship's railing. Dora Vega. This is the best news I've heard these days. Garp said excitedly. Although their current route is not in the direction of Dora Vega, they are not far away. According to the speed of the warship, they can arrive in about 3 to 4 hours. That's why Garp's reaction was so big. Immediately order the navigator to adjust the route and destination, Dora Vega. Sengoku shouted at the marine soldiers patrolling the warship. Yes, how is it, Sengoku, you don't have any plans? Suru asked. Just as Sengoku was thinking about it, Garp on the side interjected. There are only 3 enemies, and it's not like Locks and his gang of lunatics. What kind of plan is needed? Just deal with one of each. Yes, Marine now has very little information about Dean Riding. Most people who follow Dean Riding think that there are only Dean Riding, Ace Kano and Tushan Yaya in their group. As everyone knows, during this period of time, they added Dragon Mother Thor, Senju Hashirama, the god of ninjas, to the retrograde. Don't forget, that guy named Dean Riding messed you up last time, Garp. I didn't expect you to be so big-hearted this time. Crane reminded from the side. Xiaohei, don't forget, I haven't been lazy in my cultivation during this time. Garp retorted. This time, Sengoku was as difficult as Garp thought. He pondered for a while, and said lightly, among the marine, the strength belongs to the 3 of us, and it is the least related to the current position in the military. Therefore, to deal with Dean Riding and the others, I am quite confident. Sengoku. He sighed lightly, and then said earnestly, why are you as nervous as that guy Garp? Don't forget, although Dean Riding has a bounty of only 150 million, his strength is far more than world. The level of danger judged by the government is even higher. Xiaohei. Just say what you say. Can you stop using me as a comparison or unit of measurement every time? Garp cursed. Crane didn't answer, and gave Garp a look, as if to say, why compare you, don't you have any points in your heart? That's not true. What Garp said makes sense, and I think what you said, Xiaohei, also makes sense. Of course, just in case, we have to take some safeguards. The same as New World, on a certain sea area. Advertisement. Compared with the cloudless area on Garp's side, the situation in this sea area is worse. Above the sky, dark clouds are densely covered, and thunder and lightning roar, just like the night. Below, there was a storm, the waves rolled, and the ship was crumbling. It seemed that it might be swallowed by the waves at any time. In this bad weather, dozens of warships surrounded a huge pirate ship. Locks, stop it, it's over. Marine Marshal Clay stood on the highest point of the ship, staring straight ahead at the ship that was several times larger than his own. Although the sounds of the surrounding nature were very mixed, Locks and many other members could hear them clearly. Ha 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 ha. Locks first looked up to the sky with a long smile, then looked directly at Clay standing on a high place in front of him, and said disdainfully, what are you talking about, idiot? But even Marshal Marine is going to take action himself, you Marines, is there no successor? Locks, let me see how long you can keep your mouth shut. Clay yelled angrily. Locks continued with a disdainful smile. No one can stop us from dominating the world, and no one can end me in my era. It's ridiculous. It's just the self-proclaimed era, who in the world admits it? All Marines obeyed my order and pulled the boat over, leaving them nowhere to go. All the special combat warships are in combat mode. If they try to escape from the sky, I will blow them down. Yes. As soon as Clay's order came out, except for the special warships that did not move, the other warships were rapidly approaching Locke's ships. The self-proclaimed era. Huh, are you kidding me? Locks turned his head and said in a high voice, brothers, use our strength to prove to the world that the rise of the Locks pirates is unrivaled. As the voice fell, Whitebeard took the lead. He stood Kong Yunchi on the deck of the ship, and then waved his hands to activate the devil fruit ability of his own shock fruit. The already turbulent sea became even more violent at this moment. Under the boat of the Locks pirates, the waves bulged, like a giant hand, rushing the boat to a high place at a speed visible to the naked eye. Directly let the approaching warships distance again. Report to the Marshal, this situation is not good for our warship. There are multiple demon fruit powers on Locke's ship, which can make us very passive. Clay frowned, but said unambiguously, fire. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. 50 of them want to run away with buckets. Ask for flowers. Countless shells shot straight into the sky from all directions one after another. In midair, after drawing a gorgeous strand, all the shells fell towards the Locks pirates. Facing the intensive artillery attack from Marine, Locks stood in place without any movement and no waves on his face. Whitebeard waved his arms again, activating his shock fruit ability. Crack. With the activation of Devil Fruit's ability, the air barrier split instantly. What followed was that all the shells in midair were detonated by an invisible force. Fragments of shells fell with the torrential rain. Golden Lion, Charlotte Linlin, and many cadres were leaning against the railing of the ship, their expressions seemed to be calm. In fact, everyone has their own ghosts in their hearts, and they are already thinking about running away with buckets if Locks loses. This bad weather will be a big test for our Locks pirates, don't you think so, Linlin? Golden Lion raised his head and let the rainstorm pour on his face. Humph. Charlotte Linlin sneered. She didn't have a good relationship with Golden Lion, so she was able to respond because she was also a cadre of the Locks pirates. Shish. Marine's second round of shells struck again. Although the cadres wanted to take advantage of it, Whitebeard always had to do it alone. It would be difficult to explain if Locks was to pursue the blame later. So, at this very moment, officer after officer began to reveal their kamui. Marshal Clay, it's completely useless. One of the Marine soldiers said. Of course, this was also within Clay's expectation. If the simple bombardment of these demons can really be successful, then this battle does not require him, Marshal Marine himself. The violent sea surface gradually returned to its previous state, and the ships of the Locks pirates sailed on a similar sea surface with Marine's warships again. Clay took off the marine coat he was wearing, grabbed the long knife at his waist with one hand, and pulled it out. All Marines follow my orders, and the whole army goes out. As the voice fell, Clay jumped up, setting himself as an example, and took the lead in attacking. Kill, drive all these Marines into the bottom of the sea. Immediately afterwards, Marines people also launched a charge 3 times in a row. And Locks, of course, didn't have to wait for them. Brothers, let's be the big one, the victory belongs to our Locks pirates. After all, Locks looked up at Clay falling from the sky, and launched Conqueror's Entanglement. Clay's side, of course, is also the same. He clearly knows that facing these strong men, if he only wraps them with armament hockey, he can't break through Locks' defense at all. Drink. Clay swung the long knife in his hand and slashed down. Go to hell, Locks. The corners of Locks' mouth curled up, and the Conqueror's twined arms were already out. Advertisement. If you can do it, just try it. Boom. There was a loud crash. What followed was a huge air current that spread in all directions. The decks of Locks' ship, and the surrounding areas, were disintegrating at a speed visible to the naked eye. The sea surface, which had almost returned to its previous state, rolled over again, and the surrounding huge waves soared into the sky. And the group of ordinary Marines who followed Clay suffered a bit, being directly affected and falling into the sea. However, if you look closely, Clay's long knife did not collide with Locks' fist. Instead, in the midst of them, a small energy ball unexpectedly condensed. The surroundings of the energy ball fluctuated greatly, and the aftermath of the red lightning-like ability was constantly twitching everything around it. ZZZ. Conqueror's hockey contest is still going on. Suddenly, at this moment, a ray of sunlight fell on the sea. Everyone was startled and looked up at the sky. At this moment, the sky split open. Is this the collision of the top Conqueror's hockey? Tisk. It seems that the Marine Marshal who came this time has some skills. It seems that what happened today will have a great impact on the world, ha. Although everyone sighed in their hearts, they were thinking, once Locks lost, they would immediately run away with buckets. Much later, the island of Dora Vega. A hot spring. Dean Riding was enjoying this hard time alone at the moment. As for Senju Hashirama, that guy really went back to Thor and Tushan Yaya to get the money. The key is that Thor and Tushan Yaya really gave it. Later, Senju Hashirama and Ace Kano went to the casino, and Dean Riding came here alone to soak in the hot springs. This kind of life without worrying about money really makes people feel good every day. Dean Riding leaned against the wall, with a towel covering his face, surrounded by mist, like a fairyland. While Dean Riding was enjoying the relaxation, the marine warship had already docked at the port on Doravega Island. Garp, Sengoku, and Crane led the marine with about 100 people down. Sengoku, hurry up, contact the local marine intelligence personnel, it will save you a lot of time. What happened? Garp said anxiously. You don't need to say, we all know that we have already contacted before we arrived, we wait a little at the port, and someone will come to meet us soon. Sengoku responded. This time, Garp didn't wander around. After all, Dora Vega has a lot of towns, and they are quite big. If you look for it yourself, you don't know when you will find it. So Garp cancelled his plan to move freely. 51 We meet again Mr. Garp, seeking flowers. Garp. Sengoku's eyes suddenly fixed on Garp, with a serious expression on his face. For the anomaly of this bosom friend in front of him, Garp couldn't help feeling a bad premonition in his heart. Why, let me say it first, I won't do other things except Dean Riding. Don't mention the division of labor to me. Garp acted first and gave Sengoku a shot. Prior to this, division of labor and cooperation was Sengoku's usual plan. Most of the time, Garp is doing something he doesn't like. In the past, in order to complete the task and put the overall situation first, he had to bite the bullet and do it. But now, he has been greedy for Dean Riding's task for a long time, and he also wants to return all the embarrassment of that day to Dean Riding. Listening to Garp's thoughts, Sengoku's face was gloomy. Damn, he hasn't said anything yet. I just called my name. As for this reaction, I just want to remind you not to run around. Sengoku said grimly. Of course I know that, Garp replied. He debunked from the side. You didn't say you knew it once, but what about the result? It's a mess every time. It's your luck that you can live until now. Xiaohei, don't talk nonsense. Garp also tried to salvage his image in Crane and Sengoku's mind, but it turned out that Sengoku and Crane didn't buy it. Come on, do you have a clear mind? Just as Sengoku finished speaking, a scruffy man came over. Excuse me, do you have a man named Sengoku here? Sengoku paused, then said, I am. Oh, that would be wonderful. The sloppy man took out a folded piece of paper from his pocket, handed it to Sengoku, and said, someone asked me to give it to you, take it. Sengoku already had a rough idea in his mind. If he guessed correctly, this should be the information sent to him by the marine intelligence personnel of this island. After receiving the paper, the sloppy man didn't stay here too long, turned around and left. As for Sengoku, he opened the paper, and it was right as he guessed. This is exactly the information passed back by the marine intelligence personnel. What are you doing? You thought the intelligence personnel would come over in person and take us on a mission. Sengoku complained. It's true. It's unnecessary to use paper to send messages, why not just use phone bugs? Garp also yelled from the side. However, Sengoku at this meeting has already started to check the content of the paper, and when he read it, his attitude changed. What happened? Suru was the first to notice the strange expression on Sengoku's face. Nothing. Sengoku responded, then handed the paper to Crane, and continued, there is a crude map drawn inside, and it seems that this time, we need to divide and cooperate again. Ha chew. In the hot spring, with the sound of a sneeze, Dean Riding opened his heavy eyelids. Advertisement. It's so comfortable, I almost fell asleep. But, whether it's because of Shaki, or because of those bounty hunters, why do I feel an inexplicable uneasiness today? After muttering, Dean Riding didn't take it too seriously, he thought maybe he was too sensitive. He stood up, stretched himself, and went to the locker room to change. It was still early, and he planned to go for a stroll outside. With a bottle of fine wine in hand, he walked out leisurely. However, as soon as he walked out, he saw people running in one direction one after another. According to the past situation, Dean Riding must also follow the past to see what happened, and then watch a good show without paying. Of course, remembering what happened today, Dean Riding backed down. Forget it. People like me are not suitable for watching dramas. It's easy to turn yourself into the protagonist in the drama. After talking to himself, Dean Riding walked in the opposite direction. Speaking of which, since time traveling, I have been busy with other things. Today is difficult and I have nothing to do. Naturally, I have to relax and find some fun. But, before the person reached 100 meters, a loud voice came from behind Dean Riding. Dean Riding. With the sound of these 4 words, Dean Riding was startled suddenly, and turned his head quickly. At this moment, what caught his eyes was a group of Marines running straight towards him. And leading the way, is none other than the book's future Marine hero, Monkey D. Garp. Garp. Dean Riding was a little stunned. Why is this guy here? Ha 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 ha. It really is you. When Garp saw Dean Riding's face, the expression on his face became more excited, like a beast seeing its prey. What a coincidence, Mr. Garp, I didn't expect to meet you here. I still have something to do, so I'm leaving first, bye. In just a few seconds, Dean Riding switched several expressions, quickly put the cap in his hand into the wine bottle, turned around and ran away without saying a word. After all, since ancient times, there is nothing to go to the Three Treasures Hall. When Garp appeared, Dean Riding's first feeling was that this guy must be up to no good, so let's just slip away first. As soon as Garp saw Dean Riding turn around and run away, he immediately shouted again, don't run. Dean Riding. While running, Dean Riding responded, do you think I'm stupid? With so many people, it looks like they are here to arrest me. 52 Sengoku. How can I beat 2? Ask for flowers. Back in Hachinosu, if I had known what would happen today, I would have arrested you. Garp picked up his pace and chased after Dean Riding. Garp, I don't like to hear what you say. I'm just going out to sea for an adventure. As for the follow-up, your world government forced me to be his enemy. Dean Riding retorted. Although Garp didn't know much about Dean Riding, for some reason, in his eyes, he felt that Dean Riding's words were more credible than those of the world government. Then why don't you come to be a Marine? If you want to, I promise to let the people from the world government cancel the bounty warrant. For Dean Riding, Garp still appreciates it. If things go his way, then he is sure that he and Dean Riding will also be a good pair in the near future. Don't want. Dean Riding refused decisively. Don't run. As soon as Garp finished speaking, Dean Riding stopped suddenly, then turned to face him, leaking an amiable smile. Garp was taken aback for a moment, feeling a bad premonition, and stopped immediately. UB************************************************ D, what's your plan? He said while looking around in case there was an ambush. Of course, Dean Riding stopped because he knew what Garp was, and if you kept going like this, he could chase you all night. So, Dean Riding had to do something to get rid of Garp. What bad idea can I have? It's just that I left in a hurry just now and forgot to give you a meeting gift. While speaking, Dean Riding slowly raised his right hand, and for a moment a purple fireball formed at a speed visible to the naked eye, and it became bigger and bigger. When Garp saw this scene, he immediately became anxious. You madman, this is a town, do you know how many innocent lives will be taken away like this? Regarding his words, Dean Riding just grinned and said with a sneer, I'm not a saint, so what does their life or death have to do with me? The words fell. Dean Riding shook his hand directly, and a huge purple fireball flew out instantly. Boom, sounded. The direction Garp was standing in suddenly caused a huge explosion. Billowing black smoke rose into the sky, and the huge airflow mixed with sand and soil debris spread in all directions. Blocking the oncoming airflow with his arms, Dean Riding gave him a cold look, and was about to turn around and leave when suddenly, Garp rushed out of the smoke. I can't let you run away. Dean Riding raised his brows slightly. He's really a difficult guy. It seems that there is no other way but to fight hard with this tough guy. Dot 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 dot. At the same time, Senju Hashirama and Ace Kano, Sengoku also came to the door. I recognize you. Back then on that island, you tried to recruit Dean Riding. Ace Kano looked at Sengoku in front of him with a haughty look. I remember you too, you were the waiter at the Hachinosu Dean Riding Tavern. Sengoku also echoed. Friends. Senju Hashirama looked suspiciously at Sengoku in front of him and the marine soldiers behind him, and asked aloud. Advertisement. Before Ace Kano could explain, Sengoku replied, Friend. I used to have this opportunity, but now, no more, I'm here to arrest you. Arrest us. Senju Hashirama was taken aback for a moment, and soon, a smile appeared on his face. Arrest us. It's just the right time. I just lost money. A few minutes ago, I was still thinking about what I need to do next. Let me come. Hashirama, just stay aside and watch the show, and I won't bother you. Ace Kano took a few steps forward, with disdain in his words. When Senju Hashirama heard this, he immediately became unhappy. He has always wanted to experience the power of this world. Now that he finally got this opportunity, how could he be willing to watch from the sidelines? No, let me come, Ace Kano, as a new partner, I have to show you my strength. Senju Hashirama said eloquently. No, I believe in your strength. Ace Kano refused. On the contrary, Sengoku's heart is a little complicated at this moment. Laozi is here to arrest you. According to the normal reaction, shouldn't you show a dignified look? Your smiling faces are somewhat disrespectful, right? The most important thing is that in order to make a move, judging by their posture, they are about to fight. Moreover, the faces of the two of them were full of confidence, which made Sengoku pay more attention. I hope it won't be what I expected. He muttered inwardly, and without wasting time, he took the initiative to attack. Senju Hashirama and Ace Kano, who were still arguing, stopped suddenly and said in unison. If this is the case, then forget it, let's go together. The two hit it off too. Sengoku was already close, and armament hockey covered him, raised his fist, and swung at Senju Hashirama first. Senju Hashirama didn't mean to dodge either. Although he didn't know hockey, it didn't have any influence at all. I saw that his body was covered with purple chakra, and immediately punched out quickly. Boom. When the two fists collide, air currents are generated. However, the next second, unexpectedly, Sengoku flew upside down. Yes, Senju Hashirama not only possesses powerful physical skills, but also possesses strange power. In a sense, Senju Hashirama's abilities are perfect. He has strong physical skills, strange powers, offensive and defensive abilities, and even a mode to improve his strength Sage mode. The most outrageous thing is, he has medical ninjutsu that many people don't have, some ability similar to ninja art, meiotic regeneration. Sengoku, who flew upside down, landed quickly, adjusted himself, and stopped himself. Sengoku Rear Admiral, are you, all right? The marine soldier behind asked worriedly. Sengoku shook his head and looked straight at Senju Hashirama. The worry just now came true. These guys, really none of them are simple. Now he's having a headache because he's dealing with two. After thinking about it, what virtue can I do? Hit 2. 53 Crane. Sengoku, thank you so much. Ask for flowers. It's tricky now, the information is still not enough. Sengoku murmured inwardly, but at this moment, he suddenly sensed the danger and immediately came back to his senses. At this moment, Ace Kano swung Rita, the divine axe in his hand, and slashed towards Sengoku. Sengoku's pupils contracted violently, and with his rich combat experience, he immediately wanted to dodge to the side. However, in the next second, he found that his feet had been entangled by soft tree roots without knowing when. Damn it! Sengoku cursed, and in the next second, quickly used armament hockey to cover his hands, and then blocked in front to defend. When the divine axe Rita slashed at Sengoku's arm, and a shocking airflow that was not too powerful was generated immediately. The ground that Sengoku stepped on collapsed in an instant, cracks appeared on the edges. You're still distracted at this time, you really look down on us. Ace Kano straightened his waist, looking down at Sengoku, his eyes were full of disdain. Sengoku Rear Admiral. Behind Sengoku, many marine soldiers aimed their spears at Ace Kano. You all back down, Sengoku yelled. I think you'd better worry about your own safety. Ace Kano raised the axe Rita extremely fast, and then struck again without saying a word. Boom. This time, half of Sengoku's body was embedded directly into the ground. Just when Ace Kano was about to strike and knock Sengoku into the ground, Sengoku's body suddenly burst into golden light, and the surrounding ground cracked. In just a moment, a golden Buddha was reflected in the eyes of Ace Kano and Senju Hashirama. Sengoku stared at Ace Kano below with eyes full of anger, and then pushed it out without saying a word. Boom! An invisible shock wave rushed directly to Ace Kano at an extremely fast speed. Boom! Sounded. The casino exploded in an instant, and thick smoke rushed out towards the damaged holes, doors, and windows. A head-on hit. I'm afraid, you won't feel well either. Sengoku stared ahead and said in a deep voice. However, at this moment, a voice came from his side. Is this the power of devil fruit? I'm looking forward to it more and more, Senju Hashirama said expectantly. Seeing this scene, Sengoku frowned slightly, a little puzzled. Aren't they partners? In this case, he should care about his partner, right? Of course, if Senju Hashirama knows Sengoku's thoughts at this moment, then he will definitely say that he really hopes that Sengoku's blow will defeat Ace Kano, then, he will have the opportunity to enjoy this battle exclusively. Of course, if Sengoku knew what Senju Hashirama thought after he knew his thoughts at this moment, he would probably vomit blood on the spot and directly curse at the lunatic. This is a great opportunity. Chance. Listening to Senju Hashirama's words, Sengoku glanced around vigilantly, in case there was any fraud. In fact, the truth is, the opportunity Senju Hashirama said, but taking advantage of the time when Ace Kano was repelled, he can exercise his muscles and bones. At this time, Senju Hashirama clapped his hands and shouted softly, Wood-style birth of the tree world. With the fall of this voice, suddenly, the ground shook. Advertisement. Immediately afterwards, countless tree roots sprang out from the ground, rushing towards Sengoku like a tide. Seeing this, Sengoku's pupils contracted violently, and he quickly pushed his palm to release the shock wave. Boom, boom. However, every time he destroys a part of the tree roots that come in, more tree roots spring up from the ground in the next second. In the end, there was an opening, and he was directly pushed out of the casino by the roots of the tree. The smoke and dust billowed, and part of the once bustling town had turned into a forest at this moment. What the hell? What happened? Unexpectedly, turned the surrounding area into a forest in an instant. One of the marine soldiers climbed up from the ground, scanned the surroundings, and said in shock. Another marine soldier also slowly got up, and said with a serious face, Idiot, don't you understand this? That guy must be a demon fruit power just like Sengoku Rear Admiral. What kind of devil fruit is this guy eating? He was able to create a forest in an instant. Yeah, I don't know why, I always have a bad feeling. Me too, I wonder if Sengoku Rear Admiral can handle it. At the same time, Sengoku also stood up in another direction, and after looking around at the surrounding forest, his expression became more and more ugly. Totally muttering about Dean riding gang. Of course, Sengoku was not the only one who encountered the same situation as Sengoku, and the crane side was even more miserable. According to the information given by the marine intelligence personnel, she successfully found the hotel where Dean riding and the others were staying. However, she has to deal with Tushin Yaya, Thor, and the retrograde alone. Bang. The crane fell heavily to the ground. Puff. A mouthful of blood spurted from her mouth. Enduring the pain, she stood up quickly. He watched Tushin Yaya, Thor, and the retrograde in front of him warily. Whole Sengoku, I thank you. Yes, as they were splitting up, Sengoku guessed that this woman should be the weakest, and handed it to Suru. As a result, the strength is so strong that the crane can't bear it at all. The most important thing is that she is not 1-on-1, but 1-on-3. Who is this? Thor asked in surprise. I don't know. Tushin Yaya was floating in the air, drinking wine from the endless jug. Then why is she attacking us? Did someone offend her? Thor said. His eyes fell on the retrograde. The retrograde immediately explained. It's not me, I've been following you all this time, Lord Thor. Thor groped his chin, with a look that I understood. I guess it was caused by that guy Dean riding. 54 Heaven and Earth, I am the only one asking for flowers. P.S. Before we start, let's talk about GARP's settings. There are topics like whether GARP will be Conqueror's Hockey. I have searched a lot of information, and the answers are different, some say yes, some say no. Many people say that GARP is not written on the life card, but Conqueror's Hockey is written on Sengoku. At first I thought so too, until I saw a thread that was also discussing this issue, and someone attached other life cards below for reference. After looking at a few examples, Luojia's previous life card also did not have Conqueror's Hockey, and there will be a later update, including Kids, which will be available in a later update. Therefore, I think it is a bit sloppy to define it according to the life card. After all, there is no official explanation. However, from my point of view, according to the current plot of One Piece, I think the man who has driven Luojia into a desperate situation many times should know Conqueror's Hockey, but the life card is not displayed, maybe it will be displayed in subsequent updates. Therefore, I said it here, otherwise no Conqueror's Hockey would be ashamed to say that he is a strong man. Thor just said that casually, and it was outrageous that Tushin Yaya and the retrograde actually thought it made sense. There is indeed such a possibility. But, it is not ruled out that it is Ace Kano and Senju Hashirama. Tushin Yaya guessed. Really, those guys are really worrying. We need to wipe their asses for what they did. Thor crossed his hands and put them on his chest, saying angrily. Master Yaya, Lord Thor, what should we do now? The woman in front of me doesn't look like a good person. The retrograde asked Tushin Yaya and Thor for their opinions. Help her stop it first, and then, after Dean Riding comes back, let's see what he has to say. Chu Shan said calmly. The retrograde nodded to Thor. Dot 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 dot. Dean Riding over there. At the moment, he is in a fierce battle with Garp. The surrounding towns have been reduced to ruins. The surviving citizens nearby, led by marine soldiers, are evacuating from this wrong place. However, Garp has one thing to say, his physical skills and his good fortune in hockey are really amazing. At this point in the fight, Dean Riding felt the strength of his armament hockey. Due to this period of time, he spent most of his time on the cultivation of the sun ability and the cultivation of physical fitness. He didn't practice too much in hockey, so his conqueror's hockey was still at the first step. So, in melee combat, Dean Riding doesn't take much advantage. But, after the battle with Garp, he also realized that he can't specialize in one thing, but needs to improve all aspects of his abilities together. Boom, boom. The explosion sounded continuously, and Garp jumped around to avoid it. Dean Riding, don't you just rely on your own devil fruit ability? Are you like a lamb at the slaughter without devil fruit ability? In order to deal with you, I have experienced inhuman cultivation in such a short period of time, but such a result is hard for me to accept. Advertisement. Garp yelled at Dean Riding while dodging. Dean Riding didn't pay attention to him. For him, he would use whatever method was most convenient for him to fight. You know, your devil fruit ability is not very useful against me at all. With this method, you can't defeat me. Garp continued to shout. At the same time, their every move is seen by the nearby marine soldiers who have evacuated ordinary people. It seems that the situation of Garp Rear Admiral is not good. Crack. One of the marine soldiers directly raised his fist and punched the marine soldier who was speaking just now, and then retorted. You're blind, it's the guy named Dean Riding who lost to Garp Rear Admiral, so he can only hold Garp Rear Admiral back with this kind of indiscriminate attack. Yes, it's only a matter of time before Garp Rear Admiral gets him. Another marine soldier went on to say, that guy Dean Riding can't last long. Garp Rear Admiral is called by the people above, the most potential successor of Marine Admiral. Moreover, it's far more than that. Although Garp Rear Admiral's current position is in Rear Admiral, as far as I know, his strength is not even comparable to Vice Admiral of our naval headquarters. Hey, it's really enviable to say it, I wish I could have the talent of Garp Rear Admiral. Stop daydreaming, and do things down to earth. This is our best way out. I also feel that way. As he said that, he cast his eyes in the direction of Dean Riding, and then continued with a look of pity in his eyes. But this guy named Dean Riding is going to suffer. Have some fun guys, I bet Garp Rear Admiral will beat Dean Riding in half an hour. Half an hour? Do you despise Garp Rear Admiral? 20 minutes at most. It's small, the pattern is small. According to my guess, this battle will end in less than 10 minutes. Bet on speed. ... The continuous fireball attack is not too expensive for Dean Riding. However, as the number of times increased, the surroundings had been shrouded in smoke and dust, and Garp had already gotten close to him in a moment of negligence. Boom. The two fists collided, and Dean Riding got hurt on armament hockey, and he made a quick leap to gain distance. Garp won't miss this opportunity, after all, this is the body he's been so close to. Just then, though, Dean Riding laughed. What are you laughing at? Because, have you seen the result? Garp asked blankly. Maybe. However, what you said earlier was correct. Continuing to use that kind of attack against you does not have much effect and is a waste of time. So, next, are you ready? After Dean Riding spoke, his body began to emit purple flames, and what made people even more unexpected was that the ground he stepped on actually melted. Yes, the current state is exactly 1 minute of Ace Kano's noon, for short, heaven and earth, I am the only one. 55 defeat you within 1 minute, Flowers asked. Dean Riding watched the changes in his body, and at the same time he could feel his body full of continuous power. However, this mode of, heaven and earth, I am the only one, was forcibly activated by Dean Riding. With his current body container, he cannot display his true strength. Moreover, although Dean Riding can now feel that his body has a steady stream of strength, it is still barely opened. He can also feel now that his physical strength is rapidly depleting. What the hell did this guy do? Why, he gives me the feeling that he is completely different from just now. Could it be? Is this his trump card? Garp frowned. Although he hadn't fought since Dean Riding's body emitted flames, he already felt the oppression he had never experienced before. Even, a feeling of wanting to run away was born in his heart, because his intuition seemed to keep reminding him, run away. Dean Riding moved forward slowly, with every step under his feet, a footprint melted into the ground. Garp, melee, I will beat you in a minute. If you can do it, just try. For Dean Riding's words, Garp didn't believe it. Since the battle just now, he had a general idea. In close combat, Dean Riding couldn't beat himself at all. Even though he has changed into another form now, according to Garp, the power that Devil Fruit can bring to Host is actually related to his own physical skills. Dean Riding who changed this mode, Garp admits that maybe he has become stronger, but this only offsets part of his shortcomings. He thinks it is impossible to beat himself in a minute. Possible. For Garp's denial, Dean Riding did not refute, the corners of his mouth raised slightly, and his figure disappeared instantly. When he reappeared, he was already above Garp, and he had already punched him. So fast. Garp's observation haki had only just sensed Dean Riding's fist punching him directly in the face. This seemingly simple punch directly pressed down on his face like a mountain. Puff. Garp spat out blood from his teeth, and his body hit the ground like a shell. Boom. Smoke and dust scattered in all directions, and a huge pit appeared on the ground in an instant. Garp was lying on the ground, his vision instantly blurred, and he felt like passing out, but he quickly stood up, shook his head, and tried to wake himself up. What's going on? One punch did Garp Rear Admiral do that much damage? Damn it, what the hell happened? Why did Dean Riding's strength soar? No, I don't know what happened, but I think it's because of Devil Fruit. Damn it, what kind of Devil Fruit ability does this be ******** D eat? Garp Rear Admiral, come on, don't lose to him. Seeing this scene, the Marine soldiers couldn't help becoming anxious. Earlier, he felt that it was only a matter of time before Garp won the battle, but now, their hearts are really cold. Tui. Garp spat out a mouthful of blood, armament haki covered his hands, and quickly launched an attack on his own initiative. This punch seemed to carry all the anger in his heart. Bang! Sounded. The sand and rocks on the ground shook, and the smoke and dust spread in all directions. Advertisement. However, upon closer inspection, Dean Riding actually blocked Garp's angry blow with one hand. What? At this moment, dense beads of sweat gathered on Garp's forehead, and he looked at Dean Riding, who grabbed his fist in disbelief. It seems that your attack is ineffective against me, Garp. Saying that, Dean Riding grabbed his arm directly, then raised it, fell to the ground, then raised it again, and fell to the ground again, but due to armament haki's strengthening, this move can't bring Garp too much damage. In the end, he flicked it directly, and Garp flew upside down. Damn, the center of gravity of the body is completely messed up, and I can't control my body freely at all. After saying that, his pupils shrank violently, because Dean Riding rushed up. His speed was very fast, and he was in front of Garp in an instant, and then he stretched out a finger, and the purple flame gradually expanded. Holy Lance Ace. Oh no, the real one should be. Holy Lance Dean Riding. After saying that, Dean Riding stabbed directly at Garp. And although Garp said that he can't control the center of gravity now, he can still control his hands and feet. He quickly covered armament haki all over his body, and then blocked with both hands. However, in the face of Dean Riding's blow, it really didn't have much effect. Boom! Sounded. Garp's eyes rolled white instantly, his mouth opened, and blood spurted out involuntarily. What followed was that he was rushed to the ground by a huge impact. Boom! Accompanied by a loud noise, a huge cloud of smoke and dust rose into the sky, and the huge air current spread towards the surroundings. Tick-da! It feels like the whole body can't use any strength. Dean Riding landed smoothly, the time was up, and he had returned to his normal state. At this moment, he didn't even have the physical strength to fight, and now, the bullets could pose enough threats to him. Therefore, he didn't care whether Garp was dead or not, and hurriedly took advantage of the thick smoke to escape. As for the Marine soldiers not far away, he was anxiously looking in the direction of the smoke and dust, but he didn't make any movements. Because they know that in a battle of this level, they can only go up to death. However, as time passed, the smoke and dust gradually thinned, and they gradually discovered the clues. No. Nothing happened. Not good. Garp Rear Admiral. Everyone suddenly recovered and rushed forward. 56 rubber fruit lost, seeking flowers. After a while, the group of Marine soldiers passed through the ground full of holes and came to the edge of the big pit. At this moment, Garp rolled his eyes and lay in the center of the pit with his arms in a blocking position. The blood that flowed out had already stained the ground at the edge. Seeing this scene, the Marine soldiers didn't dare to neglect, and rushed towards Garp. One of the Marine soldiers quickly stretched out his finger and put it in the middle of the person to check if Garp was still breathing. However, fortunately, his breathing did not stop, and the next second, he quickly checked the injury. Both arms were pierced, and the surrounding bones were cracked. Fortunately, although the ribs were also penetrated, they were not deep. There shouldn't be too much danger. Let's send it back to the warship and perform surgery. One of the Marine soldiers suggested. Everyone nodded, and after a simple bandage to stop the bleeding, they carried Garp away. On the way, I didn't expect it would be such a result. Yeah, I thought Dean Riding would be beaten up by Garp Rear Admiral, but Garp Rear Admiral couldn't last a minute with Dean Riding's move. It's terrible, that kind of guy. The world government has only offered a reward of 150 million Baileys. Who said Garp Rear Admiral would finish Dean Riding in 20 minutes? Come out and get beaten. You have the nerve to say, you still talked for 10 minutes just now. Stop talking, what we have to do now is to quickly pass the news to Sengoku Rear Admiral, and Hehe Rear Admiral. As for Sengoku's side at the moment, he wasn't as miserable as Garp, but he wasn't much better. Facing the siege of Senju Hashirama and Ace Kano, he had to be beaten all the way. Of course, in this situation, there is also the Crane. Her situation is similar to Sengoku's, only being beaten during the whole process. Facing the attacks of Tushan Yaya, Thor, and Retrograde, she was powerless to fight back. Really, a bunch of troubled brothers. Hoo. Outside a fallen city wall, Dean Riding was sitting there, panting heavily, holding a jug in his hand, drinking wine while looking around vigilantly to see if there were any Marines chasing him. I really didn't expect that after barely entering that mode, the stamina would be so strong, but fortunately, I finally avoided that annoying guy Garp. Advertisement. He leaned his back against the wall and sneered. Meanwhile, the holy land of Mariajoy, the city of Pangu, the castle halls. At this moment, the highest leaders and pillars of the world government, the 5 elders, gathered together. What's the current situation? Sitting on the sofa, a short old man in a black suit asked. He has curly white hair, a fluffy white beard, a flat hat and a scar on the left side of his face. And he is one of the 5 elders. According to the information sent back from Marine, they have been chasing for more than a day, and they are currently fighting with the Lox pirates. The intelligence personnel belonging to the world government reported the information they received from Marine. Standing at the window, the old man in a dark red suit and without a tie changed his face suddenly and scolded. It's really hard to put it into words. The naval headquarters marshals have all been dispatched. After such a long time, they still can't deal with a small Lox pirate group. Perhaps, we underestimated the guys from the Lox pirates. Marshal Marine hasn't done it for a long time. Presumably, they still have some skills. Another old man continued. In order to deal with Lox, Marine has been planning for a long time. This time, victory is already a certainty. It's just a matter of time. As he spoke, the old man in a white Taoist robe, bald, and wearing glasses looked at the intelligence officer, then waved his hand and said, "Go down, you have nothing to do here." Yes, the intelligence officer nodded, then turned and left. When he disappeared from the 5 elders' view, they changed the subject of Lox. According to the news from Marine, the zone human fruit phantom beast Ni. Before he finished speaking, his words were suddenly interrupted. That's rubber fruit. It doesn't matter. Here, there are only 5 of us. Forget it. Let's continue. On the way to escort, I ran into a pirate. During the battle, rubber fruit disappeared. After hearing this, everyone was stunned. Although there was no expression on their faces, the dissatisfaction in their hearts was rising rapidly. For many years, our world government has always wanted to recycle this devil fruit to prevent other factors, but always unwilling to go against it. Fortunately, this is not the worst. If we report it to Master M, and later say that the rubber fruit is lost, I am afraid that we will have to bear most of the responsibility. 57 I heard you pass that I was dead asking for flowers. We also put a lot of energy and thought into rubber fruit, but this devil fruit is really special. The world government has been trying to control rubber fruit for hundreds of years. But it has been escaping, it seems, as if it is deliberately avoiding the world government. The dark green suit, bald old man with a two-shaped beard sat on the sofa, clasping his fingers holding it tightly, his face was even dignified. Zone devil fruit already has a certain kind of will, and the phantom beast with the name of God is even more unique, so. I think rubber fruit is deliberately hiding from our world government. Another 5 elders had his say. Don't worry too much. In the past 800 years, there have been many uncertain factors, but the final result is that our world government has won. Everyone stopped talking, just nodded slightly. They didn't pay much attention to Lox affairs. They thought that Lox, like other big pirate groups in the past, was only popular for a while. In a few years, then there was no news. However, one thing 5 elders never imagined was that they still underestimated the ambitions of the Lox pirates after all. New World, Dora Vega, where Sengoku is located. Bang bang bang. The battle here is currently very fierce. Even if Sengoku exerts all his strength, he cannot cause damage to Senju Hashirama and Ace Kano. Hoo. Sengoku was breathing the air greedily at the moment, watching Senju Hashirama and Ace Kano not far ahead with wary eyes. The top of the golden Buddha was covered with blood. This was also the most tragic time in his history. Damn it, that guy Dean Riding, where did he recruit the members? He's actually so powerful, and he's able to use his devil fruit ability like a fish in water. After muttering, Sengoku shouted at Senju Hashirama and Ace Kano. Hey, following Dean Riding with the strength of the 2 of you, it's too much talent, do you want me to give you a bigger show? Own stage. As long as you are willing, power, fame, and money are not a problem at all. I think it will be difficult for Dean Riding to satisfy you with this condition. Sengoku, who was impromptu, tried to recruit Senju Hashirama and Ace Kano. Once they are willing, Marine will get 2 rare combat forces. In the future, it will definitely become the backbone of Marine. Of course, even if they don't want to, Sengoku has nothing to lose. Senju Hashirama listened to Ace Kano. You look at me, I look at you. Do you know Dean Riding? Ace Kano asked back. Sengoku was stunned, thinking in his heart that he didn't reject him outright, so there must still be some chances. I've met him a few times, and it's not enough to say I know him too well, but I know that if you keep following him, you will become desperados. Quote. Ha 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 ha. At this time, Ace Kano and the others laughed out loud, their eyes full of pity. Ignorant guy, how dare you comment on Dean Riding like that? What he can give us is something that no one in this world can give us. Ace Kano waved the magic axe Rita in his hand and pointed at Sengoku, angrily said. Just when the 2 sides were about to continue fighting, suddenly, a marine soldier rushed towards Sengoku and shouted. It's not good, It's not good. The result of the battle between Sengoku Rear Admiral, Garp Rear Admiral and Dean Riding is out. Advertisement. When Sengoku heard this, his nerves became tense. He glanced back at the marine soldiers running towards him from the corner of his eye. When Sengoku saw the anxious and flustered expressions of the marine soldiers, his heart had already sprouted. There was a feeling of unease. The result is, what is it? Sengoku asked hastily. Garp Rear Admiral fought against Dean Riding and was seriously injured. His life or death is unknown. He is rushing to the warship for surgery. Marine soldiers reported. When Sengoku heard it, his eyes immediately became moist, although Garp often messed around and spoke carelessly. But, from beginning to end, Sengoku has always regarded Garp as a brother. Along the way, we have fought side by side and overcome difficulties together. Garp, Garp. Sengoku clenched his teeth, tears streaming down his cheeks. Now, his mood has become extremely complicated, and there always seems to be a feeling that the sky has fallen. Where's Dean Riding? Sengoku wiped away the disappointing tears with his hand, and continued to ask. According to the report from Marine over there, Garp Rear Admiral was seriously injured in the final blow of the two, and was in critical condition, but Dean Riding's life and death are unknown. Marine soldier truthfully said. Hearing this, Sengoku didn't react too much, but Senju Hashirama and Ace Kano reacted greatly. They, who were still talking and laughing in front of them, suddenly became gloomy. What did you say? Dean Riding dead or alive? Ace Kano roared. The marine soldier panicked after being yelled at like this, and nodded quickly. The information over there is like this. It's over, Ace Kano, we've overplayed it now, let's go. Senju Hashirama said in a deep voice, and turned around immediately. The same is true of Ace Kano. For Sengoku, they don't care, the only thing they care about is Dean Riding. But, Sengoku never imagined before that it would be a word from the marine soldiers that saved them. You have done a great job. Sengoku patted the marine soldier on the shoulder. What? The marine soldier had a question mark on his face, a little confused. It seems to me that I just passed on a simple message, and this meritorious service. 58 It's too much, and I'm told that my bones are gone, seeking flowers. Compared with Sengoku's message, it's not bad, but the life and death of a person is unknown. As for the crane, it's outrageous. Rumors spread that Garp was dead and that no bones remained of Dean Riding. Undoubtedly, when Tushin Yaya, Thor and Retrograde heard the news, they immediately ignored the crane, and the three left quickly to find Dean Riding. Blue, 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 blue. On the way back to the warship, Suru's phone bug suddenly rang. As soon as it was connected, the appearance of the phone bug imitated the face of the other party. Suru's eye couldn't be more familiar with this face, he is the Buddha Sengoku. Before Sengoku could make a sound, Crane choked up and said, Sengoku. I know, when I heard the news, I was very sad, even, I couldn't accept the ending. Sengoku responded in a low voice. Although the expression did not show much, but in fact, the heart it's almost on the verge of collapse now. B************ D Garp. After all, Crane couldn't suppress his emotions at this moment, and shouted angrily. I don't know how many times I've told him that he must be careful when he does things. The mission can fail, but my life must be saved. Now it's all right, he's dead, he's gone, but what about us? Sengoku froze when he heard what Suru said. Dead, dead. Others are stupid. Didn't the intelligence just say that he was seriously injured, so he was still angry? However, after thinking about it, it is not impossible to die violently at any time while being seriously injured. Just now Sengoku's heart was close to collapse, but now, his whole body feels like he can't breathe, and his breathing has become more and more rapid. Slowly the line of sight began to become blurred. So sad. I can't breathe. Sengoku. Crane shouted worriedly from the side. In the end, Sengoku fell to his knees, dropped the phone bug in his hand, and fell to the ground, passing out. Yeah, the Garp thing hit him too hard. Sengoku Rear Admiral. Vaguely, Crane could only hear the voices of other marine soldiers inside the phone bug. Crane's heart was even worse now. He quickly hung up the phone bug, and ran towards the direction of the warship at high speed. Meanwhile, behind a certain wall. While sitting slumped, Dean Riding drank some wine. Now his physical strength has recovered a lot, but he is full of exhaustion and unwilling to move. The movement nearby seems to have calmed down. Is the fighting in other places over? Dean Riding muttered. He was not too worried about Senju Hashirama and the others, because he believed in the strength of Senju Hashirama and Ace Kano. Of course, Dean Riding also knew that with their current threat to the world government, Marine would never send the main force to deal with Dean Riding and the others. So, again, don't worry about them at all. Advertisement. Since the battle is over, I'll just squint for a while. Dean Riding muttered, put the lid on the flagon and set it aside, then closed his eyes. After a while, the words, Dean Riding, came faintly from Dean Riding's ears. The voice became louder and louder. Finally, he opened his eyes, stood up slowly, looked around, and soon the figures of Ace Kano and Senju Hashirama came into view. Where am I? Dean Riding beckoned to both of them. And when Ace Kano and Senju Hashirama saw Dean Riding, all the uneasiness just disappeared without a trace. Soon, they came to Dean Riding's side. Great, it was just a false alarm, I thought you were dead. Senju Hashirama breathed a sigh of relief. Are you kidding? How could I die? Dean Riding explained. It's good that we're not dead. I thought we were going to lose the guy who led us on this adventure. Ace Kano put the axe Rita back on his waist. Dean Riding gave the two of them a blank look, and then asked, if I'm not mistaken, you guys also fought against Marine just now. The two of them nodded. How is the result? As soon as we heard that you were dead, we rushed to find you, Senju Hashirama explained. Which B************ D said I was dead. Dean Riding cursed. Okay, it's not a mess to pass on someone's death. As soon as the words were spoken here, Tushan Yaya and Thor took the retrograde and fell from the sky. Dean Riding. Dean Riding. When Thor and the retrograde saw Dean Riding, they shouted and ran towards him with the rain. Finally, Thor jumped up and hugged Dean Riding tightly, fiercely, against his face. And the retrograde, because of its height, hugged Dean Riding's thigh. Great, great, Dean Riding, you're not dead, you really scared me to death. Thor sobbed while hugging Dean Riding tightly. Relax, I'll suffocate you if I don't die. Dean Riding complained. Lord Dean Riding. They say you're dead, woo woo woo. The retrograde raised its head, tears streaming down its eyes unstoppable. What? The more Dean Riding listened to it, the more he thought it was G bullshit. Baby boy, it's fine to say that I'm dead, but what the hell is it that I don't have any bones left? Tui, Sengoku, Garp, Suru, you three are really shameless. 59 The marine is going to be chaotic, the sea is going to be chaotic, asking for flowers. Listening to Dean Riding's words, Tushan Yaya just smiled faintly, although she did not express her worries in as many languages as Thor in the retrograde. But, in fact, she was also very worried in her heart before, but that worry disappeared without a trace the moment she saw Dean Riding. For Dean Riding, Tushan Yaya already regards him as the most important person to her. Okay, stop crying. Now, we have to go to the second town. Most of this town has been destroyed. The place where we were going to live before has been turned into ruins. Tushan Yaya reminded. After a while, Sengoku and Suru also returned to the warship. Garp is still undergoing surgery at this moment. As for whether there is any danger, Suru does not know. Sengoku is also lying in the lounge because of a coma, because of a sudden high fever, Suru will be taking care of him. After pondering for a long time, she finally dialed Kong's phone bug. Blue, 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 blue. Kong was sitting in the office at the moment, reading the newspaper, and after seeing that it was a Crane call, he quickly connected for an inquiry. Crane, what's wrong? Has the task been completed? Crane was a little choked up, and she tried to control her emotions, and then said hesitatingly, Steel. Kong, Garp. Garp was seriously injured, and he is being rescued now. Sengoku is also in trouble because of Garp. High fever. On Kong's side, upon hearing the news, his pupils constricted violently, his hands trembled uncontrollably, and his breathing began to become short of breath. He froze in place for a few minutes, and then asked seriously, What's going on? Didn't I ask you to carry out the task of arresting Dean Riding? What did you do? Garp became like this precisely because of Dean Riding. We haven't seen each other for a while. Dean Riding recruited many powerful players. Crane explained. Impossible, impossible. Last time I heard you say that Garp and Dean Riding fought back and forth. Why is Garp so miserable this time? You don't believe it, so it won't happen. According to the report of Marine following Garp, it is said that Garp has the upper hand in the front, but in the back, Dean Riding is surrounded by purple flames, which seems to have changed some kind of pattern, and then within a minute, he beat Garp into this look. He truthfully told Kong all the ins and outs that he knew. Undoubtedly, when Kong heard his words, he was stunned, with a look of shock on his face. What are you talking about? The front has the upper hand. After changing a mode, Garp was sent into the emergency room within a minute. Yes, what the hell did that guy do? Even Devil Fruit's ability is not so outrageous, could it be that the previous battle was just Dean Riding trying to test Garp's low pitch? Kong guessed. Crane shook his head. I don't know the process. I'm afraid only Garp and Dean Riding know what happened. Kong leaned back on the chair, his eyes were a little dull. After sighing heavily, he stroked his forehead and said in a low voice, Where are you and Sengoku? You are not injured, are you? I'm fine, the injury is not serious, Sengoku is also slightly injured, and it has been bandaged up now, but Garp's blow is too big for Sengoku and me. Crane wiped his tears and sobbed. You are all the people I am most optimistic about, and it is a big blow to me. Garp is still being rescued, and I believe he will be fine. You, don't worry too much for the time being. Regarding the matter of Dean Riding, I will report to the higher-ups. Kong said solemnly. Advertisement. You should also have a good rest, thanks for your hard work, Crane. Kong continued. It is good. Just as Kong put down the phone bug, suddenly, there was a rapid knock on the door outside. Kong Vice Admiral, something is wrong. Come in and talk. Kong didn't know why. At this moment, he had a bad premonition again. The Marine soldier pushed open the door, and quickly said, No, Kong Vice Admiral, Marine just received the news that Marshal Clay has fallen, and the Marine executives held an emergency meeting and asked you to go there immediately. What? As soon as these words came out, Kong's eyes widened with disbelief on his face. According to the information, Marshall Clay was besieged by Locks, Edward Newgate, and Shiki, and finally lost to Locks and died in the hands of Locks. Kong's mind went blank. Now the marine will be in chaos, the sea will be in chaos. ... Dean riding over there. Ding. Successfully picked up the summon point, and got 364 points. Close black lens bracket. Ding. Successfully picked up the summon point, and got 106 points. Close black lens bracket. Ding. Successfully picked up the summon point, and got 320 points. Close black lens bracket. Comma. At this moment, it seemed that Dean Riding's fatigue had disappeared, and he was indulging in picking up summon points. Such a result was beyond his expectation. He didn't drop summon points during the battle with Garp, but he didn't expect Senju Hashirama and Tushin Yaya to drop a lot. It seems that this trip is not a loss. Picking up the last call point, Dean Riding stood up straight, then stretched himself, secretly delighted. This trip was very fruitful. Dean Riding checked it out, and he has a full 6,560 summoning points. The summon point is enough to summon a new member again, which is wonderful. Dean Riding smiled and looked around. This place is in ruins, and there is no one around. According to the current situation, it is perfect to summon new members. 60 new member Xiaowushan on asking for flowers. Next, Dean Riding didn't hesitate too much, and immediately started the summoning process. System. Summon. Ding. This call needs to consume 4,000 call points, whether to call or not. Close black lens bracket. Call. Open black lens bracket. Ding. The summoning is successful, and 4,000 summoning points will be deducted this time. Close black lens bracket. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully summoning and getting the Ukiora Cipher tool from Shinigami. As soon as the system's notification sounded, suddenly, a virtual panel popped up in front of Dean Riding. Host. Dean Riding. Self-abilities. Taijutsu assessment. High Conqueror's Hockey, 661 thousandths. Armament Hockey, 1000 can be advanced. Observation Hockey, 1000 can be advanced. Summoning points. 2,568 thousandths. Get the method, complete the task, or drop from things immediately, or use Devil Fruit to exchange. Summoned characters. Ace Kano 25% run in Masaya Toyama, 12% run in Thor, 5% run in Senju Hashirama, 5% run in Ukiora Cipher, 0%. Inheritance. Sun. Advanced edition. Whenever the running in progress of the summoned character increases, the host will have a chance to inherit part of the character's abilities. Warehouse. None. Quest. Summoning quest 5/5 completed. Ding. Congratulations to host for completing the summoning task 7,735 fifths and getting a small gift package X1. Close black lens bracket. Staring at his own virtual panel, Dean Ruigong nodded thoughtfully. Both Armament Hockey and Observation Hockey are ready for the next stage. The need to summon points is still the same as usual, increasing one by one. The running in speed of the summoned characters has been improved for everyone. After the summoning task is completed, a small gift bag will be obtained. As for this small gift bag, Dean Riding is also looking forward to it, because in one small gift bag, he got a very good reward. Of course, Dean Riding is the happiest. It's a new member, Ukiora Cipher. With his arrival, Dean Riding will add another powerful fighter. Ukiora Cipher, the fourth blade of Espada in the Arankar Legion under Aizen in the original, Shinigami, represents the way of death as nothingness. Naturally, there is no need to question his own strength, but his personality is a bit calm and cold. However, Dean Riding doesn't care too much about this now. After all, in his own dimension retrograde, the character is not very good. Maybe all the strong are like this. As time went by, the summoning badge process was the same as usual, and a light shone in front of Dean Riding. Immediately afterwards, a white human-shaped dummy appeared out of nowhere, and appeared in front of Dean Riding's eyes. Accompanied by the injection of the previous light, the dummy began to slowly become alive, and the skin color also changed to the skin of his original world at a speed visible to the naked eye. Immediately afterwards, a tall man with short black hair, pale complexion and green eyes came into Dean Riding's eyes. He also has dark green Arankar lines resembling tear stains on his face. Its door number 4 is engraved on the left chest, and the virtual mask is located on the left half of the head, in the shape of a helmet with horns. And Senju Hashirama and others who were sitting on the sidelines watching the ruins had a wave of waves in their hearts. Did we come here before? Thor asked with a look of surprise. Advertisement. Senju Hashirama shook his head. I came later than you, and I don't know. I only possessed spiritual consciousness after Sir Dean Riding was named. I don't know if you are also the same as the new lord. The retrograde also responded from the side. At this time, Tushan Yaya, who was drinking at the side, also said, speaking of which, I have not been here for a short time, and this is the first time I have seen it. It turns out that this is how I came here from another world. Yes, Dean Riding, this guy, I didn't expect to have such a skill. Ha 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 ha, Ace Kano laughed loudly, and then said with a smile, I'm afraid, Dean Riding's whole card is that mysterious voice when we came. Everyone was startled and nodded. They all knew about that mysterious voice. When Ukiora Cipher opened his eyes, he looked around and finally fixed his eyes on Dean Riding. Welcome to Dimension Retrograde, Ukiora Cipher. Dean Riding spoke first. Dimensional Retrograde. Ukiora Cipher responded in a very flat tone, and then continued, I really didn't expect that I would have such a wonderful encounter. From now on, let me serve you, Dean Riding. Saying that, Ulquiorra Cipher bowed to Dean Riding. For his great gift, Dean Riding never expected it. Dean Riding smiled lightly. You don't have to be like this. Compared with the superior relationship, I hope that we get along as friends. Yes, whether it is Ace Kano, Tushin Yaya, or Senju Hashirama, etc., Dean Riding has never regarded them as a tool person, but a friend. Ulquiorra Cipher gave a strange smile and didn't say much. Okay, next, let me introduce you to the other members of our dimension retrograde. Why? As he spoke, Dean Riding looked at Ace Kano and the others. This guy with short orange hair, named Ace Kano, is not easy to get along with during the day, but he's okay at night. Hearing Dean Riding introduce himself like this, Ace Kano immediately turned gloomy and retorted, Botian is real. Never mind. Dean Riding smiled lightly, and then continued to introduce. This person who is floating in the air, named Tushan Yaya, is good in other aspects, but a bit cold. And then there's this long-haired guy named Senju Hashirama, who has a bold personality. The one next to Senju Hashirama, named Thor, our chef, the cooking level is average, but it is improving. When Thor heard this, he was not happy anymore, curled his lips and said unhappily, Dean Riding, how can you introduce someone like you? Dean Riding smiled faintly and looked at the retrograde. Before he could speak, the retrograde smiled and said to Ulquiorra Cipher, please. Please give me your advice. As for the last one, it's called retrograde, and it's our ship. However, if I had known that she would look like this lowly in human form, I wouldn't have such an ugly name. Dean Riding chuckled. Ulquiorra Cipher. After their introductions, Ulquiorra Cipher also said her name. Okay, the introduction is over, it's time to go. Dean Riding stretched and walked straight to the next town. Now, he just wants to take a good bath, lie in bed, and sleep well. As for the small gift bag in the warehouse, he didn't plan to open it so fast. Begging for the first order, please brothers.